Hey, that retard left. zzpop, what were you saying about that, what you're thinking?
Oh, I don't know.
You were saying, like, after, like, once it's over, the ride.
Well, I don't know at all, but I'm very skeptical of uh, the idea and desire people have to preserve kind of their mortal exact individuality post death. It's like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
I get the desire.
that's probably one of the things I have the most trouble with, the ego, right?
Yeah.
Because what does it mean? Well, it's your identity in any and all things that identify who you are. It's like you think it's completely shedded, like all self-identity is shedded once this, because like if that's the case, what's the value in this?
Well, I mean, there's lots of aspects to you that have a lot of value intrinsically. Even if not bundled in you as an individual. I mean, this is really going to get into what your theory of consciousness is at some point, um, like what the nature of consciousness is. I mean, we could get into like, do you think that your mind is this singular thing that has been one thing over your whole life? Or do you
Aspects.
think that your mind is, yeah, like kind of, I don't know, like more like a garden where different things grow and different things die and there's some continuity, but you know, like is your mind today the same mind that existed when you were a toddler? I'm not so sure about that. Um, so like or you could even get down to like, like is the mind that exists in the left half of your brain exactly the same mind that exists in the right half of your brain? There's some interesting questions there.
But at
Uh,
the bare minimum, memories would have to be attached.
yeah, but your memories aren't perfect either. I mean, it's like
No.
I don't know. Like I think that identity is something that, in a sense, exists in a single moment of time, and like there is a kind of stream of continuity between yourself as a kid to an adult to an old person. Um, but like pieces of yourself are clearly getting lost. You forget things. Aspects of your personality changes. So like, if you change significantly, then what happened to the old version of you is an interesting question here. Um, and if you've got different aspects or tendencies that are in conflict with each other, are those different consciousnesses? And if one wins out, does the other one die? Like, so I think like what the mind is and whether or not the mind is a singular individual thing is it like an interesting kind of question to figure out first of what you believe about that will then inform a lot of what you think is or kind of isn't sensible to wonder about the afterlife. Like what would it mean if there was an eternal afterlife? Like, and the mind that had existed in me as a mortal being for like 100 years most is now been in existence in the afterlife for a trillion years, a quintillion years. It's like what is the nature of an afterlife consciousness that has now existed for so many times
Forever.
longer than the mortal
So
being
beautiful.
that, like, I don't know, it's like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
So beautiful. So if you had someone, you lived for a trillion years, you would get so bored in your own life.
I
You would
thought
just
this
be
dude
like, "What's the
left.
purpose of life?" Well, sorry. Well, I will leave. Fucking asshole.
um I mean, look, this is pure speculation, but I tend to think about I like the idea of a type of reincarnation, but it doesn't make sense to me that it's a one-to-one thing. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to think that like
What do
there
you mean
was
one to
one
one?
specific, yeah,
Like,
there
there's
was
so many
one
things I
specific.
want to address, but I'm gonna forget them all. But go ahead.
Yeah. I just like it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me to think that like there was one specific individual hundreds of years ago and I am that person, but also I don't really clearly remember anything about their life. So I do instead think more about a form of reincarnation that's not like individual to individual, but it's more that like when a new individual is born, their consciousness is formed out of lots of pieces of previous consciousnesses that have been woven together. And then when you die, like all the different parts of your consciousness do kind of get scattered and remixed again, but get to go on and sort of participate in the the lives of future individuals. Um, like almost like sort of all of consciousness is like a singular like river, and then individuals are like specific little eddies or whirlpools that like form temporarily and then disperse. So like your individual little kind of whirlpool isn't going to last forever, but the energy that was part of it does get to go back into the bigger stream. It does get dispersed, but it gets to be part of other whirlpools that will form further downstream.
Well, that's a lot. That's ego to consciousness to energy.
Yeah, energy is an analogy for consciousness.
You said fucking nothing.
And
I
eventually
said nothing?
oh, dude, just don't do this, please.
What?
No,
And
I feel like
eventually
no. With you on this conversation. It's like I'm with you.
goodness, bro. I
No,
was
you got
hoping you
enough.
left so I could come back and start a topic with the help of zzpop, but you just seems
You're
like you're
all
just gonna
bad.
lash out.
But fine. I'm
well,
out.
anyway, it's all speculation, but that's like I don't know. That's what I fantasize about when I think about what happens after you die.
Yeah, I'm trying to loop in, like, trying to find a point to this, to what we experience right now.
Oh, now you're talking.
And then if I take that route, it's like, all right, well, if we're just gonna like go the route of we lose all identity or the conscious, I don't know, because I don't think I'm fully understanding what you mean when consciousness, like that whole energy state, and then into like vortexes to into the river. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure. I follow
Well, what do
that
you think?
analogy to. I don't want to straw man you on it. You know?
I mean, like, what do you think consciousness is? Like, how do you? Oh,
No one knows.
here's a good question that will kind of get at what your thoughts about consciousness are. So, um, would you go in the Star Trek teleporter? So this teleporter, it's going to take a scan of you on one side, and then it's going to vaporize you down to the individual atom. You're going to be smoke on
That's how it
in a
works.
different teleportation pod. It's going to take the scan of all the atoms in your body and, I don't know, using special magnets or something, take a whole bunch of atoms and reassemble a perfect copy of you on the other side.
That's like 3D printing a personality, or not even a personality,
Right.
just like yeah,
Now,
it's
the
not
person
even a
who
being.
steps out has an identical brain to what you had. They have your memories. They certainly think they were you. But would you go into the pod? Like, is your
No,
belief that when
no,
you
wouldn't.
step
No
in, it's
thanks.
blackness for you, it's the end for you, and a new consciousness steps out the other side? Or do you think that is you stepping out the other side?
I would say if it's gonna burn you down to a crisp and then reanimate you, it just no fucking way that's ever gonna happen. But if
Yeah,
you know,
because you
if you
don't know
say
if the
it is
guy that's it's going
possible,
to recreate is going to be you or
well,
someone else that
that
is just identical to you.
Yeah,
that's kind of
so
what
so
it alludes to.
that's what I bring this up because like so if you're saying that it's possible for there to be another mind that's identical to yours, that it isn't you, then I think that that means that you've got some concept of the like your unique continuity of consciousness. And you think like, okay, the copy thinks it's me, but that's not me. I will not experience what the copy is going to experience. Um, but I would go into the pod
It's like no
because
soul.
Right. So I guess I don't believe in this concept of the soul that you're talking about. Like, I think
What-
that my mind is fundamentally a fleeting thing. It's like it's the information, it's the arrangement of atoms in my brain. Um, there's a sense to which what I'm saying is that I think that from moment to moment, you are different consciousnesses. Like when you close your eyes at night, is it the same you who wakes up the next morning? It's kind of a new you.
But
Ah,
here's the
Yeah.
thing. Here's the thing,
that's a little
though.
Joe
much.
Rogan.
If that would be like letting that same machine scan you
Yeah.
and then make a new one without destroying you first. So then that would mean that there would be two of you identical at the same time. Well, there's no way that you could be
And that's called
you
cloning.
and it both. You
Right. So
couldn't be
yeah,
both people at the same time. So that sort of shows that it would have to be a different person than you, even if it thinks and looks and acts and remembers and
right. Yeah.
everything. Spit
Yeah.
image.
That was where I was going next. Yeah. So that's the next great example of, right. So imagine you go into a pod, there's a scan, and two of you come out, right? Most people's intuition, right, is that like my continuity of consciousness only goes to one person, right? I can only be
That
one of
one
these people.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, what I believe after having really kind of thought about this for a while, is I do believe that both are like legitimate continuations of your consciousness. I guess I don't believe the
Yeah.
consciousness is the type of thing that continues forward into the future. Like this
The
concern.
consciousness is subjective to one person, and if they die off, as old mate said,
I think he was talking.
there would
I
be
think
no
he was
more
still talking.
consciousness.
Yeah, I think he was still
Sorry,
talking.
dude. Sorry, bro.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like there's this really natural thing in a way we think about ourselves. It's really hard to break out of, which is like when you
I'll
go to
never
sleep
speak to you again. Don't worry. Sorry, guys.
Just shut the fuck up, dude. Just mute your mic
You
when
shut
others
the
are
fuck
talking.
up.
when you go to sleep
Wait,
at
why
night,
is that guy coming in so loud? Who is that?
He's some drunken clown, dude. Oh,
Is that
some
Jamie
So-
Wood? No, I gotta turn him down, dude. He's like coming in, he's clipping it. I can't hear anyone else when he's shouting.
I wouldn't worry
So-
about me, man. I'd worry about what you say to old mate.
Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, I'm gonna turn
So
this
is
guy
it-
down. But
It's easy.
Okay.
Could you finish, man?
Idiot.
Yeah, I mean, what you were
not
Yeah,
fully turned
is-
down,
so-
dude. But you're way too
Yeah, I'm
loud. I don't
done.
know
The
if it's your
phone's gonna die. I got
microphone.
a corruption.
I don't know if it's
thing
your
on my phone.
microphone or you're just shouting. Yeah, I'm gonna turn it down a little more. Okay, that's better.
I'll be back in a sec. Can I talk later with you guys? Because I really appreciate you guys.
You can
All
talk
good.
when others aren't talking. Right now,
Yeah.
when people
Um,
aren't talking, you could talk. Simple.
So
Part of the conversation.
I think that there's like a really there's a natural way of thinking that's very hard to step out of, which is like when you go to sleep at night, you think about like what will I experience tomorrow, right? You're thinking about like what are these experiences that I'm going to have. And the issue with like the teleporter pod, the duplication machine thought experiment is it sort of sets up a situation where your intuition is kind of telling you that you won't experience anything. You're going to be dead. You're going to be vaporized. You're going to be blackness, right? Your consciousness is going to be over. And a copy of you with near identical memories to you is the one who's going to be having these experiences, right? And kind of the
What-
point I'm making is that, like, you don't know that that isn't already just happening every time you close your eyes to go to sleep, right?
Brother, can
Like
I
the
say,
same-
can I just jump in? Like the scars on your hand, the scars on certain parts of your body that will literally be there.
Well, they could be there on the clone. They could be there on the copy
Yeah.
too. I mean,
Yeah, on
So-
the copy. Yeah.
I guess my way of thinking about consciousness is like, like when you close your eyes at night, the you who's thinking, I'm not like, what am I going to experience tomorrow? I don't think that that consciousness is going to experience any tomorrow. Like that consciousness is the consciousness in that moment. It's over, right? When you go to sleep. Now there's a continuity of your brain and you're going to wake up the next morning you're going to remember the night before, and consciousness is going to continue.
So memory
but
comes into play as well.
Right, but the point I'm sort of making here is like I don't think of consciousness as like an object being carried forward in time. I think of it as like a purely sort of process
State of mind.
of creating an identity by thinking backwards onto your memory. So from that perspective, the perfect copy, or in your perfect copy, is you. And if multiple copies are created, they are you because they are consciousnesses that are tracing themselves, back to the you who stepped into the pod.
I don't
Um,
know. It kind of seems
basically,
like you're describing like
everything
a
that you
state of
guys
time.
learn, everything you learn by yourself, someone else is learning it. Like, what about the fact that if that is the case, my friend? Like, here we go. Always tell me to shut up. If that's the case, right? If every time you wake up and you got another consciousness, you're in the same meat body, blah blah blah. So, like, but your experiences, as your free will has happened constantly, you can remember your free will. So, is there a disconnect between that? You know what I mean?
some disconnect. If there's any break in consciousness.
So when we
It's
learn things, when we learn as humans, and every day we wake up, you still remember what we've done and your learning skills. So how would that happen if it was a breakaway? Are you trying to say there's a different consciousness coming into your body, like a meat, like it's like a simulation theory or something? It's so interesting, this shit.
Well, a lot of people have this immediate reaction to being against the idea of stepping into the teleporter pod that vaporizes them and reconstructs an identical version of them with
Yeah,
an identical brain and identical memories on the other side. And I
the
get that
consciousness is
intuition,
real.
but the point I'm sort of pressing on here is like, is that really different than what's just sort of already happening when you go to sleep, when you wake up, or even just sort of
yeah,
moment to
Beautiful.
moment?
yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Yeah, that's a really beautiful way of looking at it. Yeah.
Of course, it's different. It would have to be different. You're
I don't know.
vaporizing completely something.
Well, I mean that obviously that's an important thing that happens there. Um, right, but let's say that you're scanned and many copies of you are made on the other side. A lot of people have the question of, okay, but which one will I be? And maybe
So
that's
that's
a
Why?
valid
infinity,
question.
infinity,
Why wouldn't your
infinity.
consciousness just? If you say I created copies, why wouldn't your consciousness be able to connect to all those bodies? Why would that just?
Sure. Well, a
Why
lot of people
couldn't
would.
that
I
be a
mean,
thing?
well, they all diverge from each other. I mean, they're not all mind melded. So as they
No, it
go
would
off
just be
now,
one consciousness that's
No, but
connected
this
to
is a
all bodies.
hypothesis, bro. This is a hypothesis, so maybe we don't know that fact yet. You know what I mean?
So what? I'm just saying, why would the possibility not be a thing? Right? Just because there's copies of the physical, right? And you're saying, well, I did a carbon copy of this one object, but then you're saying, well, this one object cannot be connected to the overall consciousness. What would
So
be the block?
that would mean we have to have infinite universes constantly, and your body would be all there constantly, and you're flicking through consciousness like you have an alt gamer account, maybe. I don't know.
so we often talk about consciousness as though it's an object, but I think that it's an activity. In the sense that
You think it's an
you know,
activity?
yeah. I
That's
mean,
interesting.
there's an active process in the brain that's generating these thoughts that I'm having. But it's different in a year's time. Like one of the questions I was bringing up is your consciousness now the same as when you were a toddler? Will it be the same consciousness as
It's
20
a
years from
developed.
now?
I'd say it's a
Let's hope
developed
it is.
consciousness through
Yeah, definitely.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. Develop consciousness. Yeah, beautiful.
Well, that's not what he's
Beautiful.
saying. What he's saying, it ceases to exist when you go to sleep.
Yeah, but
No,
I
I didn't
think
say. I
there is a
mean,
developed consciousness as what you were saying because we do learn.
No, I
Like you
wasn't
s-
saying
Is
it
it a
ceases to
reset?
exist.
well, it starts anew. Like you have a brand new every
No, no,
consciousness
no.
every morning,
I'm
like a
not
fresh
saying I
state of
believe
mind.
that. What I was bringing up is a lot of people have a strong
Uh,
intuition that with the example of the teleporter pod, that your consciousness would cease to exist if you get vaporized on one side, and it's a new consciousness that only thinks it's you, because it has your memories. That's the copy that's created on the other side. And I'm
Well, that
making the
that's
point.
sucks, man. That
Well,
sucks. If that's the
a lot of people.
case, that sucks.
No, no, I don't believe that, but a lot of people think that that's how it works. And then if
I
they
thought
do
you
think that
did.
that's no, I'm making the point that if you think that that's how the teleporter works, kind of how do you know that that's not what the process of like going to sleep or blinking is like? And because I said I would get in the pod, I don't think that that would kill me.
Yeah, that's connecting the consciousness to the body, and like there's no
That's right. Yeah.
there's no real spiritual aspect of reality.
I finally figured out what you mean now, Riggs, man. Your consciousness is like it's the consciousness is separated from your physical body,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
spirit
we
to
all know
heart,
that. But it's like
mind
if
to
you
body.
yeah, but if you did that in a time machine, as old mate saying,
Yeah, I'm
it's
saying
it.
it couldn't exist. I would say
I
that
don't think it
aspect,
could
that
either.
Star
Yeah.
Trek thing couldn't exist. And when I look at it and like, how would that break how I view consciousness? I'd say it'd break it completely.
Can
The
I
only
ask you a
way,
question, brother? How
only
do
way
you view
consciousness could
consciousness?
exist.
How do us three view consciousness? That'd be an interesting thing, and we'll continue this. Like, but consciousness is you're awake, you're alive, you go to sleep, and then I understand what you were saying, my friend. You go to sleep, and then you don't know if you wake up with the same consciousness. But I mean, it's like, but you learn, you do learn. You know what I mean? Like we all learn. So if you go to bed, wake up as a new person, that's not the case, I don't think. But it's interesting though. Yeah. What do you think about
Well,
that, my brother?
no. So I'm not saying I think that you wake up as a new person. What I'm saying is that people, when you bring up the teleporter, a lot of people think that's not you who steps out on the other side. They think it's a copy. And they have a very
Yeah.
clear sense that if I go into a teleporter and I get vaporized and a perfect copy of me is created on the other side, the copy might remember my memories, might think it's me, but I will not
Hopefully.
experience anything that the copy is experiencing. The copy is a new consciousness. So a lot
Yeah,
of
so
people
you're
have that.
literally talking about simulation theory. So if we
So
did
let's
die, if I did
I
die,
don't think that's simulation.
it literally would be I would keep my consciousness in a new body, and there'd be the same scars on my arms that I have and everyone has, and you'd be a new meat suit, but you'd
They're
keep that
just saying
consciousness. That's
they're saying
very simulation
consciousness.
like. You know what
No,
I
they're
mean?
saying consciousness is attached to the brain and the physical properties of you, and that's all it is. Like your
Yes.
neurons firing, how they fire, and if you align everything and duplicate
Yes.
everything
We
identical
we
and
all
3D
completely
print
agree.
it,
Yeah.
okay, you could just
Well, no,
fucking
not
shut up and
everyone
I'll just
agrees.
talk.
To me, it makes you think of whether you have a soul
Well,
or not.
you can't
A
have
soul
that, and
would be
Because
the
if you don't have a,
consciousness.
if
the
you don't
Star
have a
Trek thing.
soul, then but if you do have a
But
soul,
the
you
old
wouldn't be the same person
spiritual
that came out.
reality, the
Right,
spiritual
unless the
reality
soul
bullshit
could
is a
find a way
soul,
to
is
connect. The
consciousness.
the soul would need like a universe or a realm in which it could travel, and then would have to somehow know or be aware to connect to that physical entity that was
Yeah.
just created.
Yeah, I definitely don't believe in that concept of the soul. I don't believe
Well,
that
soul
there
would be a
is.
consciousness, my friend, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't believe that
It's
my
just different
consciousness.
terminologies for a conscience, which is a soul. So a soul would be a conscious. That's what I would say, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't think that there's any part of me that is separate from like the electrical signals that are happening in the brain. And
Neurons. Yeah.
I think if you recreated those electrical signals, that would be me,
But
you know, to the extent that anything is me.
I still feel like though there's a me, and even if you made somebody identical, like I said a while ago, if we stood in the same room together, he would be him and I would be me. And if I was destroyed, I would not be the one that was recreated and continued on. My being of me would be gone. I would just, all I would know in my mind is I just blanked out and it was, it's over. The other one would just, he would realize that he started because he'd have all the memories, but he'd be a new person.
That's your identity.
Right.
Your identity would be the soul. So you reject the notion of stepping through that device would equate to the same.
Identity plan and laugh. Yeah. It's interesting, like when you look at your pets, if you guys own pets, my dog loves, little Spider-Man things, and he goes up
cutting out
for a Spider-Man. I go, what the hell? And the dog goes after it, but I hear me out, guys. I go, if you want to look at it like in a different direction, you go, dog's consciousness, right? My dog's consciousness, if you put into play the old school thing, reincarnation, because as we drink water, right? And water
You're
has
so
been
disjointed
water
right now, bro. You are
H2O
so
has been
disjointed.
recycled around the planet and never leaves the planet, if we believe that. Oh my God, I was going to say something beautiful, but you go ahead. Sorry.
Everything you're saying is just
I'm not
disconnected
disjointed.
from
My bones
the
are
previous.
joints are still good. We done so.
So I just want to say I get the idea of like if you're in a room and you're looking at a copy.
Not
of
really,
yourself,
man. I've been listening to you. You know what really annoys me is when you try and say things to people and they okay.
Anyway, what I was going to say is I get the idea if you're in a room, you're looking at a copy of yourself. At that point, there's two
My point
people,
was
right, and they're
your
not the
dog's
same.
consciousness.
Dude, stop talking when other people are talking, please.
So I totally get if I'm in a room and I'm looking at a copy of me that's already been created. At this point in time now, we are two separate, consciousnesses, diverging
Entities.
off from each other. If I die now, I'm not suddenly
the
going
consciousness, it's like, I would say two different entities, but to say the same, what are you saying? Like two different consciousness or the same consciousness?
No, I'm saying two different. Like so if I step into a pod and it scans me and creates a perfect copy and I step out of the pod and I'm looking at the perfect copy and now we're saying hi to each other. From that moment forward, we are two different, individuals, like from that a split has happened, right?
How?
Well,
How
we're
does the
two different people.
consciousness develop without the experience?
Well, I mean,
we don't
we'll
know
go off
about
and live different
consciousness.
lives. We're having,
I didn't even hear you.
where I mean, like now that there's two of me existing, these two will have different lives from that point forward, right? So like that is a branch point, of two new individuals go off that each inherited all the memories of the same original person, right? So now there's two people
But that's
whose
that's a
stream
bit
of
much for me.
consciousness was entirely the same up until the point that the copy was created, and now they're different, right? And now if one of them dies, they're dead. But what I'm saying is that before the copy is created, right? Like if you're in bed at night, the night before you're going to go into the scanner pod that's going to make two of you, I think that you should view both of them as like totally equal continuations of your consciousness right now.
See, I wouldn't give that. I wouldn't grant that because I'd say if you created something new, there's
No,
no
just
way.
answer his question, dude. You have another shit to
Dude,
say,
stop
man.
talking. Just when
No,
other
fuck
people
you.
talk, just
My
don't
phone's
talk.
fucked. I literally can't even turn my phone up. So fucking, you got me. Like, it's just shut.
Bro,
You
just
you
when other
treat me
people
like
talk,
shit.
it's not like, hey, you jump in.
I've been on here since 2016. You cunt.
I don't give.
So I wouldn't.
That's
Shut the
not
fuck up,
productive.
motherfucker.
Not contributing. Anyway, yeah. So if you imagine,
I want
like you,
I wanted to make the point though about the consciousness.
Block me now.
Like, how do you have
Right here.
again?
Fuck
How do you
boys.
have consciousness without the experience? Like, you can't. Like, what would the consciousness would come from? Just the memory? Like, how would the consciousness of the new entity develop?
Well, I mean,
what I said was
consciousness is the same as that identity, dude. What do you think consciousness is?
That wasn't a
okay,
question for you.
what we were saying
Right,
was
you're an
like
asshole, motherfucker.
imagine a
I know.
machine that you step into, and outcome one of you steps in, two of you come out. However the machine works, it takes a scan of you, it creates a perfect duplicate. You can't even tell which one is the duplicate, right? Like one of you goes in, two of you goes out. You could think of it as a copy was created, but it's not even possible to tell who's the copy, right? And these two people who come out of the machine have identical brains. They have identical memories.
Well,
So,
that's a lot.
now going forward, these are two separate individuals, right? But the question is, do you think when you step into the machine that like your consciousness is only going to go into one of them, or do you think
Right, but
of
you're
both of
starting from
them?
the premise. You're starting from the premise that all of
No,
this is already
dude, no.
established. The consciousness
You've
is
lost.
oh
You've
my
lost your. No,
fucking
you've
word,
lost your
guy.
way. Listen, old mate. You've lost your
Dude.
way. Listen to him.
Stop fucking
You've lost your
talking.
shit, dude. You've lost your
I was
shit.
trying to make the point that it's like starting from the premise that everything could be copied, like the consciousness can be copied. It's like, well, if that's the case, then going forward, yeah, they would have the same exact consciousness.
Exactly.
But to derive consciousness afterwards, it's like, no, you'd already have to say either consciousness died in that moment, didn't transfer over, or it was copied and therefore can be copied.
No,
So
I'm not.
consciousness, guys, should be one thing. That's one human. If we're doing that, so if that dies, that's it. It's over. Is that right?
No,
Yes.
I didn't say this copies consciousness. What I said was it copies your brain. The point of this is to make you think about what your beliefs about consciousness are, right? So
I already have them, dude.
Right, one person with one brain goes in. Two identical people with identical brains step out. These two identical brains both equally, perfectly remember being the person who stepped into the machine, right? Both people who step out have all the memories of who the person was who stepped into the machine. So the question is, if the body and the brain could be copied perfectly, like what do you believe has happened to the consciousness of the original person? So some people might say that they think that the consciousness of the original person went into just one of the two people who stepped out of the machine. The other person is the clone. The clone believes themselves to be the original person, but they're a completely new consciousness. It's like there was one soul that went in.
All three of them have the same consciousness. Fuck.
Right, or you say that they're all right. So it's like there's different options here, and it challenges. It makes you really think about what are your beliefs about the nature of consciousness.
Yeah, I would just say you can't copy consciousness without experience is what develops the consciousness.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Experience, then
agreed.
No consciousness.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, both of these people stepping out of the machine have had plenty of experiences. They remember having a lifetime of experiences.
No, one.
Yeah, but you
one
can't
has
contact.
An experience of stepping out of a machine, and the other one has an experience of however long they've.
No, they have the same. They have the same thing, man. There's only one
They can't.
consciousness, man.
They can't.
Yeah.
You can't bake in.
You're
can't beg
cloning
the
at
question.
that point.
You can't beg the question on this thought experiment.
Jesus,
No,
dude.
both
Thought experiment.
bo-
Because if you beg the
both
question,
people.
you're saying the consciousness is already transferred
So
over.
my answer meant nothing. Exactly.
No,
I'll
no, no.
shut up.
I think when you say transferred over, like this is getting at what your thoughts and biases and intuitions are about this, right? Because two people
Exactly.
step out of the machine, and all I've set up in the thought experiment here is that the two people who step out of the machine have the memories of the person who stepped in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now they are having the experience of stepping out of the machine,
Right, but
So
one of them has experience. One of them has a consciousness that is
They have the
attached to-
same experiences, man.
Dude, stop fucking talking when others
Okay.
talk, please.
Yeah, I hate you too,
One of
bro.
them- One of them has like a lifetime up to that point of experiences. The consciousness experienced it, right? The other one just has memories. That's
right.
it.
Okay, good. So you're drawing a distinction there, and I don't
Right.
think that distinction exists.
Yeah, and if you beg the question and you say that aspect right there, all those experiences have nothing to do with the consciousness and they're all just based on memories, then I'm going to say, well, then how is that consciousness without experience? And it's just you can have consciousness from a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the
no,
disconnect. What's going on here? I see the disconnect, brothers.
No. So I think that this was productive, right? Because this revealed
It was very productive.
two very different ways that you can think about consciousness, right? Because my position is that if you have memories, that is as much as it gets in terms of saying that your consciousness had these experiences. And you're voicing a different position, which is that there's a distinction here between just having the memories of something versus actually
being the real
a
self,
consciousness,
yeah.
that had those experiences. And these are the two positions people take on it, and they have these arguments
Well, it's
about
like
it.
this, right? Does your consciousness disappear as your memory fades?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I am of that
Well,
position.
that's going to be a tough one to sell. So now you're going to say this living being, right, that has Alzheimer's has no consciousness. That doesn't work.
Well, I'm not going to say
Ooh.
no, but I'm going to say that
they're not
they
not
have-
conscious, but
I
yet
didn't
they
say that
have
they aren't
awareness.
conscious. No, I didn't. No,
Well,
you're conflating things. I
They
didn't say
have
that the
awareness.
I don't mean
Yes,
not
they
conscious,
definitely
but
have
lack
awareness.
consciousness.
Yes.
Or a conscience, rather. Whatever.
I'm not saying that
I
the
didn't mean
person
to
without.
convolute.
I'm not saying that the person with Alzheimer's
did.
doesn't have consciousness. I'm not saying that they're not having experiences of what's happening, but I do think that with the loss of memories, there is a real death of like parts of the consciousness that were there, yeah, I do think that there isn't a difference between completely losing memories of something and saying that your consciousness didn't have those experiences. That,
But you
like,
could wipe out your memories and still have the same intellect, maybe your same will.
Instincts.
I mean,
okay,
So
yeah,
I went through
well,
this with a family
Intellect.
member, right? And they had major brain bleeding. They lost their cognitive ability, right? Their memories
Yep.
were just torn to shreds. They still had the same instinctual responses when I engaged with
Yeah.
them.
That's what
So
my
how
nana
do we
and grandma
explain
did.
that when
yeah.
their memories torn
right. Let
apart?
me revise, right? Because when I say memories, we might be thinking about this too much in terms of like, oh, I have a memory of being at a specific place. Like, obviously, there's people who get amnesia or brain damage and they can't remember, they can't articulate specific things that happened to them, but there's evidence of what's still in their brain, right? Because of skills, because of emotional responses, because of whatever. Like, yeah, no, totally, I get that. So when I said memory, I don't just mean the type of memories that you can recall
Feeling like
and explain in
consciousness.
words. I mean the
Consciousness.
yeah, well, the way in which
Well,
the brain has held on to information from the past.
yeah, like
in some
people with
sense.
dementia and Alzheimer's,
Beautiful.
like they tend to
Beautiful, bro.
like as they progress, like they will literally start to shit themselves. They don't know, they're not aware of their bodily functions. and they will also stop eating as well because they're not aware that they need to eat. So obviously, there is a remarkable decline in consciousness in those people, right? If they're not
Yeah.
even
Cognitive
aware enough,
ability.
they're not
Can we
even
just,
aware that they need to go to the
guys,
bathroom. They're not aware that they need to eat.
I don't think it's a consciousness issue with my granddad and Rig's granddad and Nana getting into their shit. I don't think we should put that to consciousness at the moment. I think that's a decline in certain other things. So maybe that's a different conversation at the moment, I think. I don't think
think
it's anything to do with consciousness at that point. When
Well, he
you know what
thinks
I
it
mean?
is. He
Well,
Yeah,
it's a
thinks
but
it
I mean
decline
is.
in
it is, but I
consciousness.
don't think it
And if
is.
you
But
follow those patients, assuming they live long enough, they can
they
get to the
still have
point where they
consciousness.
can get to the point where they're catatonic, right? They just stare out a window with open eyes and there's nobody home, right? You can't say that
Yeah, and
those
then
Only if you
people
induce.
then I get
Only
into
if you
are
induce
still
spirituality
that.
at that
conscious.
point. Yeah.
But you have to medically intervene for that state to come upon.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
no,
you bet your ass you do.
no.
Because
And
if
in
you're gonna
fact,
tell me
Yeah, you
somebody
when they
do.
lost the
Yeah,
autopsy
you're
idea
those
they
right,
have
bro.
to
You're
brains,
eat, they're
right.
gonna
Yeah.
starve to death,
when
dude.
when they autopsy those brains, there's literally huge sections of brain that have died off.
Yeah, I know. That's what happens, man. I've got two grandparents, as Rig has apparently, but
My
I
dad
don't
has
think
dementia
that's a
right now.
consciousness thing. I don't think it's a consciousness thing.
So we were
Absolutely, a loss of consciousness.
for some context we were talking about the afterlife, and I was saying that I don't understand any concept of the afterlife that sort of preserves you as this singular individual. And part of the reason I don't understand it is which version of you is the version of you in the afterlife, right? Because I don't think that any of us would like it to be the case that there's an afterlife and the version of your mind that exists in the afterlife is the you from your death's door where you were in a catatonic state with dementia, right? Like I think
I
most people would
reckon.
like it to
Yeah,
be that if
yeah.
there's an afterlife, you get to reboot, maybe back to a better
You're so
moment
right.
of your consciousness, not like when you were at death's door. But then that raises an interesting question of like, if
Oh
if
yeah,
if
dude.
you've really had many consciousnesses over the course of your life that bled into each other, which one's the real you? What about your toddler consciousness? Where does that
Well,
go?
that's multiple lives, right?
Damn straight, bro. My brother, that was the most
I don't
beautiful
think
thing
your
you could have said, to be honest. And that
I
is a
don't think your
really
consciousness
good
as
thing of looking at.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I don't think your consciousness works like that, right? So to say like, oh, where does it go? It's like you're asking a question that it's kind of like what?
Yeah,
I'm
we
looking
don't
So
at
if
know.
you
We don't know,
And,
man.
I'm
and
looking at it,
consciousness,
dude. Can I not fucking speak without your
Yes.
stupid ass fucking chiming in?
Everyone shut up. Let him talk.
Fucking hell, dude.
You got it. Go. Talk. Hurry up.
I'm not looking at consciousness the same way you are. I'm looking at it as something that develops and stays with you until it leaves you.
Yep, I
So
agree.
when it's like
Okay,
when
but
you're talking about the afterlife and you're like, well, where did the childhood consciousness go? It's like, well, it didn't go anywhere. It just developed into something else, like a higher
okay,
consciousness, a
My
stronger
dad has
but
dementia right now.
Oh,
He's
that's a
not the
cool
same
way of
person
thinking
he
about
was
it,
when
guys.
years
That's
ago
a
when I
cool way of
worked with
thinking
him.
about it, actually.
yeah, that's sort of my point of like it doesn't just develop, it also undevelops, right? I don't think anyone wants a concept of the afterlife where the version of you that gets to go to the afterlife is the you the day you died after you had lost
well,
potentially so much of
that's
Good
you
yourself.
work, Riz. Yeah,
that's
that's a
you
cool
tying
thing,
it
Riz.
into the physical. You're saying
Yeah,
as the
dude,
brain
yes.
depletes, the consciousness depletes. I don't agree with that.
That's
Like you're
beautiful. Yeah, what
saying
you
this is
said,
what
Riz.
consciousness
Beautiful.
is, and within this type of consciousness, how does it work? I just don't think that's how consciousness works. I don't think it's attached
Well,
specifically to the brain where you lose memories, you lose parts of your consciousness. I
what
just
I was saying
completely
a while
disagree.
ago, Rigor, is my dad
Good
has
work,
dementia
mate,
right now.
Riz.
He hold
Good
on,
work,
dude.
Riz.
Hold on.
So sorry, you're doing
Beautiful,
that.
actually.
He lives with me, and he was superintendent of coal mines. He was a man among men. Let's put it that way. He was
Sounds
one
like
of
a
the
little sissy.
biggest. No, he was one of the like strongest leaders that you would ever know. Um, He's, just he's an incredible electrician. He's an incredible mechanic. All these things. He's really awesome. I worked for him for several years. Now he's had dementia for many years. He's, and it's taken its toll on him. And not only has he lost these memories, he is not the same person at all. Like, not even like you just could not imagine that that's the same human being between the two. And so I sort of understand what he's saying about which one of those two would you be when you die if you go to heaven? Would you be the guy you was in your 40s and 50s, or would you be the guy you are in your 70s?
Yeah, I just don't see it like that. I don't think your conscious state,
Some
right,
respect
is
for what
attached to the physical cognitive ability or capacity or functionality of the brain. I'm separating the two. I'm not saying your consciousness is your brain. That's what you guys like think. I don't
Well, do
think
you
that.
think your personality
I
is
think
part
it's
of
a
your
spiritual.
consciousness?
What I think it's attached to your spirit, right? Your true consciousness is attached to your spirit. And you're saying, well, the spirit's dying. No, I don't think so. You guys are just attaching it to the brain, killing the brain, saying the consciousness dies.
So
So
do
Well,
you
it's
so
think that
what?
your personality is a
completely
mirror?
different,
Hey,
completely
dude,
different.
you gotta have
So
some
when you
respect for the
say
person that said that
how does
shit,
this
dude.
work? When you ask me how it works for me with all these stipulations on what you already said, this is consciousness, I just reject that's what consciousness is in the first place.
Yeah. So what's it going to be
Dude,
like to
that's
be a
fine.
spirit in the
Yeah.
afterlife then?
What would that
You're
be
a
like?
spirit.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
how do you know without the experience? Like, it comes down to that.
Well, do you think that your personality is at all tied to this consciousness?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
That's a good
because
question.
what is your consciousness? Your consciousness
Okay.
is basically a collective of your experiences, right?
Right, the
Exactly.
people
So
that
And
why
if
do you
and
have
if
there's
to be
your
an
people that
if your
asshole to
have
everyone, bro? You
personality,
gotta be a
there's
legend to
people
people, man.
there's
You
people
gotta
that have
we all
had
gotta chat about this shit, bro. And you gotta have some fucking respect for everyone, man. That's your experience right now. You wanna be a cunt to everyone constantly,
bro, he's
dude?
asking a question. Stay on topic.
Sorry. Oh, shut up.
You got this habit of
there's
wanting to attack me. I don't care about your opinion.
Well, I care
there's
about
people
your
that
fucking opinion, cunt.
but there's people that have had like traumatic brain injuries, like a motorcycle crash or whatever, right? And then like they will literally be a whole different person, like their spouses and their people. They'll be like, they used to be the sweetest, kindest person ever. They'd never raise their voice to you, and then or those people turn like violent and aggressive and short tempered. Like their personality will completely change after a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, you
So
could say the
so is
same
that
thing
like a
about
different?
drugs,
So is that like a different? Yeah, you could say that about drugs too.
right? You
So
could
is
say
that like a
when someone
so is
drinks,
that
they
a
become
different?
a completely different person. I'm
Dude, you're
not
cutting
saying
him
your
off.
personality. I'm
You're
not
being
saying
a
your.
dickhead, man. You gotta
I'm not
realize you're
saying,
being a dickhead. Let him
Jamie, this
speak.
isn't helping, bro.
bro. I got
Sorry.
his point. I got his point. He's saying I'm not trying to make the argument that your personality is your consciousness. You're saying does your what I said was your consciousness affects your personality, right? But I'm not saying your
Definitely.
personality is
Yeah.
therefore your consciousness.
So what happened to that kind, gentle person that was in that person prior to their traumatic brain injury? Now that person is long gone. Like, did that person disappear? Like, where did they go?
And did you care about the guy that actually hurt himself?
Oh, dude,
Answer it.
it just derailed,
Riz,
dude. I don't
answer
know.
it. You talk a lot of shit, man. Answer it, man. We're on your
I'm
side, brother.
thinking about
You,
it. I'm thinking about it
what
while I'm
I'll
listening
say
to
to
you
you,
yell.
listen. What we're gonna say to you is, you got a good bunch of mates here, dude.
I'm
You don't have to
I'm
fucking
just gonna
talk shit
turn you down.
fast.
You do this thing where you want to talk about my
Yeah,
character when we're
major
talking about a
loving,
topic. No matter
major.
how
Yeah,
many
I
times
know.
I try to point this out, you
I
just
can hear it
carry
in
on.
your voice, my brother. I got major respect for you,
Bro, you
sir.
need friends. That's what you need to
I
talk
got
to.
millions of. I play in bands. I got the my own shit.
All
I'm
right, go
telling
talk to
you,
them
man.
about their personal shit. They might
Fine.
value your opinion.
I don't care about that. I'm just telling you.
God
I
damn, dude. This is
respect
like the
you. And you're a
second,
good
third,
guy,
fourth
man.
time you've derailed a fucking conversation so you can
Ah,
focus on me.
definitely haven't.
What
If
is your
everyone else
problem
says
with
I
me?
have,
Let it out. Get it all off your chest and then fuck off with it. Go ahead,
I'm
go.
gonna go crazy. I'm not getting it here. Dude,
No,
you're a
no,
good
get it out
motherfucker.
now
Hey,
and then
listen,
fuck off with it.
I'm getting it out now. Can I speak? You're a good motherfucker. You're a good young cunt. You're a really good person. You're going to have a good time in this chat room. You're going to have some good friends here. That's all I'm fucking saying. The shit I'm talking to you is complete coming from love, dude. Complete coming from love. I got your back, okay? We can argue all the time and we can agree with things. You've got a good place here, right? That's all I'm fucking saying.
All right, you done? Now go fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck you too.
Um,
Love
we
you.
were talking about different concepts of the afterlife, and I feel like your thoughts about the afterlife are going to depend a lot on what your thoughts about consciousness are. So, like, I don't believe that, like, consciousness is like this object that like we each individually have of like, oh, I've got my consciousness and it's something I'm carrying through life my entire life and it goes somewhere else after I die, and you've got yours. I think
Yeah, I
that
think the opposite.
no,
So
I
I
know
look
you
at the
you think
spirit, right? The spirit's
Let him keep
connected to the
talking, man. Let
consciousness.
him let old mate say what he says, man. Don't
Dude,
interrupt. Man.
Jesus.
Simple. No, you're the one that's
yeah
interrupted. Let old mate talk. Shut up for a
I was
second.
just getting
yeah
clarity, letting
Shut
him know
up.
yeah
what
no,
my position
Shut
is.
up. Shut up.
yeah
Loving.
I
Shut up. Loving.
definitely
Shut
Bro,
up.
you are fucking insufferable.
Oh, you fucking you're
You
insufferable
add
too,
nothing.
man.
Add something.
Oh, I don't do
I
shit,
don't
bro.
imagine I've got like a soul that can like as an individual soul go to a specific place after I die. Um, so I actually think that like at base level consciousness, and I don't mean the higher order forms of consciousness of like a self-awareness of like, oh, thoughts of who I am or anything. I just mean that like that base level subjective experience, you know, like the fact that it feels like something to be you. Um,
Reality. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
subjectivity, yeah. I think that that is maybe just like a product of all activity. Like, I really wonder, you know, like, does an individual amoeba have an experience of what it's like to be an amoeba? Does an atom have an experience of what it's
Yeah,
like
my
to be an
dog, does it
atom?
have an experience? My cat. Yeah, yeah. I'm with you, bro.
But I would take it beyond living things. I would say, like, what about like a flash of lightning? You know, is there some very elementary amount of experience that's just present in energy in all activity within the physical world?
So from
Oh,
a gum
that's
tree
a
to a
bit.
gum tree, literally under the microscopic world, literally will feed a tree will feed another tree. Okay,
But
and we
it's
know
like
you
saying
know that.
everything is conscious, right?
Hang on, and
That's
Yeah,
kind of what
this
my
you're
is a
boy,
alluding
there's
position.
to.
my
This is
boy.
a position called panpsychism. It's not saying that a rock is thinking, "Oh, here I am, I'm a rock,"
Yeah,
or anything like
obviously,
that.
obviously,
But
Then how's it
that
conscious, dude?
the trees
Like
experience
are.
consciousness.
that there is a um,
It's like
there's an
stipulations.
experience of
Okay,
what it is like to be any type of thing, down
so
to
if
an
Right,
you're
electron.
but it's
my
more
brothers, if we're looking
entailed
at a
than
tree,
just the
right, you cut a
experience.
leaf, it'll release certain toxins if you cut a leaf on a tree. Is that conscious? Yes or no?
What the
You know
fuck?
what I
I
mean?
think so. I think it's a type of
Interesting.
consciousness, right? Like I definitely think that
Definitely.
like
I agree too.
living things, like I don't think that there's much meaning to the consciousness of an individual atom. Like I don't think it's having any internal thoughts or memory or
Exactly.
anything. But I think that activity itself is like kind
Consciousness,
of
yeah.
the base level of some sort of primordial form of
Definitely, yeah.
subjectivity, and then the more complicated things get, living things and the way they organize matter together into a living thing can make their type of consciousness ever
That's
more
right.
complicated,
So if
ever deeper.
it so a
I don't know,
bee
man.
coming
I think there's
hear me
more
out, a bee
entailments to
coming
the
to a
word
flower,
consciousness.
collecting pollen to grab to another tree, right? That's their consciousness, right? A bee, right? A rig, a bee,
Dude, I
a
don't need an
bumblebee.
example to
You
understand what
don't
he's
care.
saying. That
You
maybe
don't give a
you
shit.
do. Maybe you need to hash this out
No, I
internally.
don't. We're
I don't
having
need
a.
your
You
I don't
just.
need
I'm just
assistance, guy.
I'm waiting for you and I
I'm
to be
trying to
friends,
respond
man.
to him, and you're trying to give me assistance.
Okay, well, I'll shut the
appreciate it,
fuck
but I
up,
don't need it.
and you guys, I'll shut up. But I really appreciate talking to my friend here. I really
Yeah,
like
you
talking to him.
I'm looking at like consciousness is like now it's like I feel like we have more of a separation on what consciousness is because I'm looking at it as like it has to be self-aware, right?
So if
it's
so,
not
if a
No.
tree,
self-aware,
hear
dude,
me out. So
shut the
if
fuck
a
up.
gum
Shut the
tree,
fuck up.
if a
Shut
gum
the
tree
fuck
100
up,
meters
dude.
away helps out another gum tree 100 meters away,
Bro,
do
here
you
you go with
think
your
they're
dumb shit.
trying to? They literally a gum tree is trying marsupial right under the fucking ground,
Bro,
trying to help
shut up.
give a little bit of
Somebody,
water
like,
to
is
a
there a
tree.
moderator? We need to mute this
I'll
guy.
shut up then.
Yeah. So I don't know why self-awareness has to be part of consciousness.
How
I
do you know
definitely
it's your
think,
experience?
well, like, couldn't you imagine, I don't know, like a simple, like, I don't think that like an insect is like, oh, I'm Mr. Fly, but like I do think it's having experiences of hunger, of adrenaline,
Well,
thirst,
impulses.
etc. Yeah, but
It's like convoluting impulse with consciousness or experience. It's like
no,
just because
because
it has an impulse doesn't mean it's like experience self-awareness and it knows that like
wait,
everything like it's self-aware of everything around it and it understands its place and yada yada yada.
right. Well, so
So a
self-awareness is
rock
like,
would not
right.
wouldn't qualify
So I
in
think
my
that there's
definition.
one of the problems with the word consciousness is it sort of incorporates a lot of different layers of things, right? And self-awareness is definitely something that's very important to our type of consciousness, and maybe the word consciousness should entail self-awareness. I'm not sure, right? But the question that I'm trying to get at,
Well, yeah,
if we could
I
drop the
would.
word consciousness, is even if you don't have self-awareness, you do not have awareness of yourself as an individual in space, are you still feeling things? Are you still experiencing sensations?
Yeah, but if we do away with
Yeah, but oh,
self-awareness, I
mate.
think we're just going to end up talking past each other on what consciousness is and what it means.
No, you have
Yeah.
nothing to say, dude. This is a really philosophical conversation. Do you know what
No,
But
I
fuck
think
you,
this is
dude.
important. I think
You fucking you talk shit to me all the
Dude, you
time,
don't
dude.
track, bro. I guarantee you zzpop
Yeah.
understands
When
what
was
I'm
the last
saying.
yeah.
time you came on air?
No,
Well,
I
watch,
think that this.
just be quiet for a second and listen to how
Yeah,
zzpop
we
can
don't have
understand
fucking
what I said
dude.
without
I
asking
fire
for more
people like you,
clarification.
dude. I fire
Just do it.
young
Do it.
people
Press
like
mute.
you, dude. I fire people. I've given you
Good.
the
Your ego, you are fucking
utmost
amazing. I think
respect
you're a
for
wonderful
you, cunt.
person and you are the best. All right, now mute.
Yeah, well, shut the fuck up. I can't fucking not hear ya. So block me, you fuckhead.
Right. So, like, I don't think that a fly has the ability to think about itself. Like, I don't think that a fly has an ability to contemplate being a fly.
It's got 30
Uh,
days of living. 30 days
right.
of living.
But, I think it is probably just moment by moment reacting to
Yeah.
things. And, it's got a much more primitive form of conscious than we have. It's missing many parts of consciousness that we have. But the question is, does the fly feel hunger? Does it feel pain? Does it feel pleasure? And I
Well,
don't think
what
that
is
you need to be
feeling then? What is
the
feeling?
What do you
fly.
Because you
mean? A
devolve
fly is
consciousness
fucking a
into the.
lot of women
Dude,
flies,
stop.
and they're fucking.
Stop.
But this is
If you dev-
bullshit, man. Like, come on,
if you-
guys. This is reality
Turned them
here.
down. I think everybody should just
Yeah.
turn them down.
So this is the
if
interesting
you
You
question.
turning
devolve,
me, guys?
if you
You turning
devolve
me
the
down?
if you devolve the
Oh, thanks,
consciousness to
guys.
the brain
Appreciate
and the
it.
memories, then
Fuck
it's
you,
like,
cunts.
well, if that happens, then all the feelings and everything has to be devolved equally. You have to tie it back into it's just like neurons, like in electrons firing and causing this and that, and it's like, well, where do you go with that then? It's like
Yeah, I mean, the interesting
those
question
aren't
of
real
like,
feelings.
well, I think that they are, and this is a big difference is, do you think that you need memories, that you need identity, that you need self-awareness in order for experiences to still feel like something? Is there
If I take this though, if I take this and I walk it out, I am now
Interruption.
calling an LLM conscious with
maybe
feelings.
maybe in a very different limited way than us? Yeah.
But I would
That it has
just reject that
sensation.
notion and say this is why I put more clarifiers on what consciousness is to begin with.
The fucking biologist over here.
Do you think that a newborn baby is
know.
conscious? Because there's pretty good evidence that a newborn baby has
course.
Yeah.
no awareness of itself in relationship to
Yeah,
space of
yeah.
what it
I
is.
think
That's just
I th- yeah,
motivated
I
by
think that is the
impulses.
baby point of consciousness. Yeah, where
Mm.
without experiences, the consciousness is like starting to grow through all the lived experiences. That's how it develops, and it develops with the
A
individual,
baby.
right?
You're a
And you
fucking
have
idiot saying that, mate. Really, you're a little baby. Human babies are the worst kind in evolution, mate. Simple as that. This is reality.
Yeah.
This dude's impossible.
So
You
like this is
can't
the thing is
pause me
that
because my phone's fucked. I wanted to get rid of
Dude,
this
throw your
shit.
phone in the water.
Yeah, I will,
so
mate.
people are
I've been
very
here for
willing
longer than
to,
you, all you cunts. So I wouldn't fucking. Now I'm the bad guy. Continuously, a baby, like, fuck off. A baby deer will get killed by a deer. Killed by a bear. A baby bear will get killed by a bear. Get
Bro,
the
your
fuck
liver
over
is getting
yourself.
killed right
Get
now
over yourselves,
by an idiot.
motherfuckers.
is
Get over yourselves.
anyway.
What do
No, I
you
mean, but
can't do nothing in your lives.
this is an interesting
I'm
point. If
out here
people
doing
will,
shit, motherfucker. What are you doing, Zed? What's your fucking name, cunt? What are you doing in your life right now? You
Bro,
haven't
shut
said
the fuck
anything.
up.
Yeah, I don't care.
Please, dude.
My phone's fucked. I can't even turn it off or
Put it
on.
in water.
So
It
tell
fixes
me,
electronics.
I will, motherfucker. I will. I've been around for a lot longer than you have. What do you do with your life right now? You
Hello.
can't answer a simple fucking question.
I spend my life with your missus.
I
do?
tuned out his volume. Sorry,
Well,
just
I can't wait to see
but
you
anyway,
when
yeah.
you
Since
come
this,
around, motherfucker.
yeah, it's an interesting thing here to get you to think about, like, what types of things do you think are having experiences, right? Because there's a lot of people who will say that they don't think that an insect or a plant is conscious. They're like, oh, it has impulses, it's reacting to stimuli, but it doesn't have any memories of who it is, therefore it's not conscious. But
I
then
think it has to.
with a baby, you're like, a baby doesn't have memories of who it is. It takes quite a while for that to develop. Um, there's no evidence that babies for months and months and months after birth have developed any sense of, like, continuity of memory of who they are, of where they are, of what they are. Like, there's no evidence that babies, within the first few months of life, have self-awareness. But I think that when a baby
Right, but how do
cries
you
for
detect that?
food,
How do you even detect self-awareness?
I don't think that we can, right? It's really
Then how
hard.
can you assert that where there's no evidence of it?
Well, I just
It's
I
like,
just
well, we
would
have
mean
no
is that, like,
evidence of detecting with something we're incapable of detecting. Like what? Come on, man.
well, but okay, but then how do we know that the tree isn't self-aware either? Like,
Well, you can observe it. You can like look at the plant and you can see two plants growing up with one stick in the middle of both of them, and you can see one plant, like both plants arch towards or like unravel towards the stick to latch onto it, and then you can see the other plant does the same exact thing until one of them captures it, and then it diverts. So at some point, so it could be coincidence, but it sure in the hell looks like plant B was aware that plant A latched onto that support first and then chose to look for an alternative.
I saw
So I'd
that
say
too, Rigor. I seen that same
that is a
thing.
level. That's a level of awareness. How much awareness and how far you can go with that would be purely speculative. But to
that's not
say there's
necessarily
no evidence of
self-awareness.
awareness, I would say that's
But
a step
Well,
But
that's
it
evidence
could
of
way
just
too
be
awareness
far.
is
that
not
one
different.
plant that found it first, when it found the stick, it released a hormone into the air that
Right.
basically other plants received as
Could.
okay now, you know.
Could, but where's the
So
evidence of that? You
I
get what I
don't,
mean?
I
It
just,
could have released an
you know,
impulse, but it wasn't measured. It could have
right.
like a little like electronic frequency that we can't even measure that could have happened. Like
But I
something,
did see
it
that,
could
and I
have
thought that
released
was
some
crazy.
information or a signal that we're incapable or we don't know the right instrument to measure that with that could be happening, but without that proof to make the claim that it's definitely not aware, I'd say that's a little bit too much.
Okay, but then, like, how do you know that the fly is definitely not aware? I mean, or the amoeba?
I would say the fly might be aware of its surroundings, right?
Right.
But
Okay.
conscious on the conscious of its total surrounding and understanding things, I would say, no. You could say a level of awareness, sure.
I think
But then it's
flies
like,
and
well, does
stuff
it have
just work
memory?
off of. I think they just work off of like if-then statements. The way their brains are wired up, it's if you smell this, then you fly in that direction. If you
But
land on this, if it tastes like this, or if it gives off whatever, then you lay eggs on it. You know what I mean? I feel like insects like that just work off simple if-then statements, and
Well, I
that's
mean, what
in a
about?
certain way that allows them to do their thing.
Maybe we just work off a more
right,
complicated
that's
list
kind of
of
what he's
different.
saying.
Yeah,
He's saying
yeah,
we could
but I
just be
think we can.
impulses.
I
But then
think
we go to
we're.
the rock, and where do we go from there?
I think we can change though the way we do. Our brains are so complicated and able to reason and stuff that we can almost change the way that we think we're simple minded things like insects are really locked into, if this, then this, rather
I,
than if this, what will happen if I do this? Should I do this? It might be fun, but then will this happen? You know what I mean? Like, I think humans have a.
Totally. I and this is a big difference, right? And like I'm not saying that I think that the fly has an equivalent amount of consciousness to us, but the point I'm trying to make in all of this is that I think that the problem with the word consciousness is it's really hard to pin down what it is. And like we can point to lots of different features that we associate with consciousness. And the reason I'm bringing up what about the baby, what about the fly, what about the tree, what about the amoeba, what about the chemical reaction? The reason I push it to this is that it's about like stripping out bit by bit, what you associate with consciousness. It's like, okay, we can remember and reason and think about ourselves, and the fly probably can't, but the fly can still react to the environment. So is just being able to react to the environment all it takes to say that there's at least a little bit of consciousness there, a little bit of experience. And the other thing I'm kind of pushing on here is, do you have to have memory? Do you have to have self awareness to be having experiences, right? Like, is pain any
Yeah,
less pain to the fly just
yeah.
because the fly doesn't retain memory for long
I
periods of
would
time?
say, without identity, how can you experience in the first place?
We can't imagine just
Without
like
self.
being flickering from experience to experience without like a strong continuity of self between them.
That doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense what you're saying. Like I'm asking the question. All right. So, if you have an experience, how do you know you even had that experience? You
You
say
might not
there's
be
an
able to
experience
remember
I
it.
am having, but you're saying I'm not aware of myself. All right, you're not
No,
aware
no.
of
I
yourself.
what
How are you assigning that experience to yourself?
would you have to assign it to like I'm thinking about an
Yeah,
amoeba here, right?
cognitively, you have to be able to pass that out. Or you're just saying experience isn't like unique.
Well, I think the experience is more fundamental than self-identity. Like I don't think that an amoeba thinks about itself being an amoeba or even has memory. But I do wonder if it's having, you know, powerful experiences of like, like hot, move away, cold, move away, hungry, go grab this thing. Like, does it need to have a internal mental monologue about who it is in order for its experiences moment by moment to be real, to feel like something to it?
Well, I'm not saying its experiences aren't real, right? I'm just saying it's not consciousness. And if it lacks that understanding of itself, then it's just working off a completely different frame, a completely
Right. So,
different framework. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't even identify itself. It's just
right.
responding to things. It's like, well, then it has no self identity. So how can it have like a first person perspective of reality? It can't.
Oh,
and that
well,
and that's
why
what I
can't it?
think. That's what I think that instinct is the same thing. It's just the if then statement. response, and I think things like flies and stuff don't really have too much of a, what's going on around them. I think they're so basic that they're just basically mindless things that are wired up in a certain way do to do their functions, but they're too
Right.
basic to even have an understanding of what's going on.
So the core of this to me is the question of what types of things are having a first person experience of reality. And I think everything is. That's my position. That's the
Well, how
panpsychist position. I do
how
think
does a
that the
rock?
fly and the amoeba, we'll get to the rock in a sec. I do think that the fly and the amoeba are having a first person experience of what their reality is. It's just not one with any kind of continuity. It's just like just moment by moment by moment, they're reacting, they're driven by instincts. There isn't like a story of memory that persists from one moment to the next, but each
Then
moment
how's it
is a
conscious?
little
Wait,
flash of, because in the individual
eh,
moment, there is a thing
but you
that is
said
experiencing those sensations.
the consciousness is tied to the memory, and if you duplicate, the memory would create the consciousness. That would be
Oh,
a
I said
huge
identity
problem.
was
Like
tied to memory.
if you say if the brain dies, the consciousness leaves it, right? That means like the memories drift, the consciousness drifts. Well, this thing doesn't even
Mhm.
have a memory. So how does it have consciousness? If it doesn't have a brain and it's just responding to environmental whatever, then
I guess what I would say is it doesn't
where's
have
the consciousness connection? The conscious
it.
connection.
Yeah, it doesn't have a connected consciousness. It doesn't have a consciousness that is connected from one moment to another. It's just having flashes of consciousness in each individual
Oh,
moment.
yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, I think our definitions of consciousness are so far apart. But I get
Well,
what
no,
you,
but this
I
is the
can
thing, is
kind
that
of
consciousness is
understand what you're
really
saying,
hard to define, yeah. Um,
but I just like your idea of consciousness and mine are just very different. But it's interesting at the very minimal.
yeah, I guess where I'm starting with is that I think that the most elementary type of consciousness, or maybe we could just call it subjectivity, not consciousness, is the better word for it, is just like
Um,
an individual flash of experience that exists in a singular moment of time. And then maybe we would use the word consciousness for what happens when you can tie those together moment by moment into a chain that creates some sort of continuity and identity. That what we call consciousness is a combination of a few different ideas together. It's experiences that are being remembered and integrated together over time. And very simple
yeah, to
things may not
recognize the
have the
self.
right. So very simple things may not have an ability to recognize themselves, and they may not have an ability to have memory that connects together like what a continuity of experiences. But then the question is, do they still feel something in those individual isolated moments of like you fling your hand at the fly gets a spike of adrenaline or whatever, and in that individual moment, was there a thing that was having an experience? I would say yes, at some very
Well,
rudimentary level.
yeah, but then the memory has to be shredded because it will come back for the danger, like, repeatedly, and then it will
Right, and
see
then the
it
memory, and then
can't
it's
be any
gone.
real learning going on because one fly will fly into the light, and they'll see the other fly get zapped, and then the next fly will repeat, do the same thing. So they can't be like a memory or a understanding or any real awareness to the environment because they can't even learn from the others, like, experience. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it'd be like, oh, look, this guy jumped off a cliff. Now he's dead. Oh, this guy, or one person burnt their hand, and then the next human looking over be like, oh, their hand's burnt. Let me touch that same thing. You get what I'm trying to say?
So
So the
yeah.
flies
Oh,
don't show any behavior like that. So there's no like shared consciousness. There's no
yeah.
like individual like memory or learning or anything else going on. So like right there at the face, I'd be like, well, I don't know. I would just reject them as being conscious.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I need to be using, I don't know, different words too. But one of the important things here for me is that these things exist within a spectrum, and I guess
All right.
my thinking about consciousness is that consciousness is what we call it when a brain or something has the ability to string together memories of enough experiences and reflect on those experiences enough to create some sort of identity here, right? So maybe we wouldn't say that just like the fly being from one moment to the next with no sense of where it had just been a second ago, right? Just like literally living in one moment at a time is a conscious being, because consciousness requires being able to tie those moments together. I do think it's an experiencing being, as in that there is for each of those moments a first person experience of what it was like to be the fly in that moment. Even
See,
if
I
the
wouldn't.
moment is fleeting and disconnected from the moment before or after.
I'd have a hard time saying that it has that first person experience, because how does it do that without a memory?
I guess for me, I think that experience is more fundamental than having a sense of self. That having a
What?
sense of self is a construction out of experiences. That the ability to have experiences is the thing that comes first.
I think the fly has to be able to have some sort of input or sensory awareness. Because I don't know, I try to kill flies all the time.
Well, and then
Yeah.
I took it to a much more radical level, which is that I'm willing to push this at the extreme end down to individual electrons and say that like when one electron bumps into another electron, that is the simplest experience that occurs within the universe.
Yeah,
Some
but then you're at
people,
like probability clouds exploding
sure.
everywhere.
I think awareness
Uh,
is
and it's
like
like that's not
awareness is
reality.
strange. Like,
Now
why is something even aware or able to sense inputs?
Well, did you know the concept of the philosophical zombie? The question is like, could there be something that's built that does everything that a person does? That, they can take in information from the world around them and process that information and come to decisions about what they're going to do. And if you poke them, they'll swat your hand away and be like, ow, that hurts. But there's no one home. They're not experiencing anything. They're
no,
going through all the motions of consciousness, but they're not having any experience under the hood of what's actually happening to them. So I don't think that such a thing is possible. But the interesting question is sort of why not? Like this question brings up, what do you think is the relationship between the ability to have thoughts and responses to the ability to have first person experiences?
without identity, you can't have first person experiences. That's what I'd say first and foremost to that problem. I'd be like, well, if you don't have identity, you can't have first person experience. And if it's unaware, moment to moment, then it's just responding
Okay,
based on
go the
whatever.
other way though. Do you think that you could have identity and no first person experience? Do you think you could basically take the soul out of someone and have that person's body and brain continue to go through all the motions of speaking, moving, reacting to their environment in a completely normal way? No one is the wiser, but there's no first person experience. They
You
don't
saying take
actually
the soul
feel.
out?
Yeah.
I'd say I don't know what you're calling soul, but I'd say if it's not developed, right? Like I look at the soul attached to the consciousness, attached to the spirit type thing. If you're saying the spirit is not, or like that aspect of the person hasn't been developed because they've suppressed it or whatever else, right? I'd say, well, yeah, it'd be just like a muscle in that situation, where if you don't develop it, it's never going to grow.
I'm saying, imagine someone, you're looking at someone who, picks up a cup of tea and takes a sip and goes, ouch, that's hot. And then they blow on it and it cools down and they take another sip and they're like, oh, this is, a really nice tasting tea. And if you put their brain under an MRI, there's signals going around, heat, sweetness, whatever. And yet, they are not actually having any experience of anything. It is
Oh,
blackness.
that's where I
If you were to
disagree. I'll say
Right.
that MRI sure in the hell isn't detecting regret. That feeling of regret. That MRI isn't capable. It's just detecting the, the stimulus response, the nerve response, the physical, but not the emotional. You could say, yeah, well, it's yeah, all means that. It's like, all right, well, is it factoring in regret? So every time this fires off in this order, that means regret. I'm like, well, that's definitely never going to be consistent. They're never going to show evidence, or they have never showed evidence for that, for all those
I
emotions that
mean,
tied to it.
Yeah, meaning is where does meaning come from?
Because like you could say all these impulses are tied to the nerves or whatever it might be, right? The neurological response, and this stimulates something in the brain and causes the brain to light up over here with this
yeah.
image and over there in that image. It's like, well, is it detecting the emotions that come along with it? I'd say no. It can't do
Mm.
that. There's no evidence of that because people are going to have different emotions for certain things. But the same, you could do the same thing to 20 people and they're all going to have a different emotional response. If everybody's brain lights up the same way, I'd say you didn't detect emotions.
Well, certain regions of the brain may light up in common. I mean, eventually we might be able to get down to very detailed MRI scans.
I mean, it's wishful
Um,
thinking.
I guess my question is, do you think that there's anything about consciousness that can't be seen under a good enough MRI scan? Like if you know what all the
Yeah, you're
neurons are
asking me,
doing.
yeah, it's like a metaphysical component. Can we see a
Yeah,
metaphysical component?
right. So then the question is, if there is a metaphysical, not directly observable component to what it means to be conscious, right? Then how do you know where it begins and ends? It's like if there's a metaphysical component of consciousness, then could there be someone whose brain looks normal in all its firings under the MRI, but their first person experience is just absent? They are just blank. They don't actually experience anything. And then on the other end, it's like going back to the tree or the amoeba or the electron. It's like if there's a metaphysical aspect to consciousness, how do we know that that isn't everywhere already?
Well, we can detect consciousness to a certain degree. Like we could detect it, like the fly example, the rock example. Like these
Mhm.
things aren't, they're not the same as us. They're nowhere near. They don't
I'm
have
not
the
saying they're the
level of,
same as us.
well, we have, my definition of consciousness, they don't align with at all. The
Okay.
best I could do is be like, well, they could have like a tiniest amount of consciousness. That's the best I could do for a fly. Because it's like they'll zoom, or you'd have to say the light is some force that pulls them in, because they can see their mom go fly into a light and get zapped to all hell, and they'll repeat the same behavior. It's like, well, they've learned nothing. So it's
I
not in the
guess
brain.
the point I'm making that I'm pressing you on is that when it comes to non-human things and things that we both agree are much simpler than us, that there's
Mhm.
no way that the thoughts and experiences of a fly or an amoeba, if they exist, are remotely as complicated or detailed as a human's. We both agree about that. But the point I'm bringing up here is that when it comes to the fly, the tree, the amoeba, you're much more confident in saying that we can very clearly say that they don't have consciousness or that whatever consciousness they have is really, really, really limited because of the physical things that we can detect about them, right?
Well, see,
But when it
that's where
comes
I'd
to
separate. I'd be
humans,
like, the
you think that
tree
there's
and the
like,
fly are different. I'd say the tree and the fly are different, but go ahead.
why?
Because we have like some might be tiny evidence of plants responding to their environment and being aware of other plants
Right.
and their behavior.
But but let's bring it back to the human who's deep into dementia, who's still technically alive, but their mind is very gone, you know? But you were saying earlier that like the person's consciousness is still intact, that
Yeah, like you'll see through their personality that they respond very similar to when they were cognitive. They had their full cognitive ability, like instinctual. They have instinctual
Well, not
responses.
always.
No, not always, but you know, in cases we can observe it. Like I've seen it
I,
firsthand. Somebody with
I,
like major brain bleeding that could respond and had like a lot of overlap with the previous personality.
I guess the thing I'm trying to push on is that on the one hand, you seem to be saying that there's a metaphysical part of consciousness, the spirit, something, right? That humans have that is with you your whole life, that even if you have dementia or part of your brain gets blown off or something like that, the
Yeah, it
you
develops
that
with
is
you.
you is still there, right? That's just another experience folded onto a singular concept of
Like a
you-ness,
meta
right?
experience.
Yes. But you're very hesitant to saying that there is that type of experience um, of being in simpler non-human things. When those things are concerned, you're much more willing to be like, well, if we can see that objectively they have very little awareness of themselves or their surrounding, that's reason for saying that they don't have consciousness. But the human being who is like staring out the window in a deep stage of dementia, uh who doesn't seem to have much awareness of themselves or their environment, who may have less awareness of themselves or their environment than the fly at that point, right? But they're still a consciousness.
Well, yeah, I mean, one showed signs of consciousness at some point, so therefore we'd be like, oh, once upon a time, this was a conscious being, and the other
All
one
right.
just doesn't ever get there. And it's like they're not the same, I would say. Where it's like I have certain qualifiers for what consciousness is, and if the fly doesn't meet it, I'm never going to grant it because this other person, this old person has a fleeting um awareness of whatever.
Mhm. That's
I'd say
interesting.
that it's just very different, very different. They're not. It's not like a one for one same thing. But I look at it as like it's attached to your spiritual. The spiritual is connected to, your soul, your spirit, your consciousness. There's like something connecting them. Where it's
Mm.
sort of something somewhere in there, however, is like an identity connecting. And then through
And
that
and
is
and
the
individual identities.
no well, yeah, individual, not the soul's has its own identity, the spirit has its own identity, the conscious. No, I'm not talking like that. I'm talking like all three are connected.
I
Like
think
those
it's
three operate together.
I think even the fly has some sort of identity because it knows itself from a fly swatter or a hand.
Hmm?
But
Nice.
I just think it's like levels of quality of consciousness. Like we got 89 gasoline and then we got 93 premium. We're running on that 93 premium.
I like that quite a bit. Look, I don't think there's easy answers to any of these questions. Like that's why I like to bring them up. To ask people about like, what do you think of the newborn baby? What do you think of the person who seems to have lost all awareness with dementia? What do you think about the teleporter pod that scans and creates a perfect physical copy of you? Is a perfect physical copy of you, is that your soul as well, or is it just a copy that thinks it's you? And just like the more of these edge cases you think about, the more interesting the question of what, not just what consciousness is, but what your consciousness is. um and is your consciousness this kind of like one singular thing that you have had your whole life, and there's only one of it, from birth to death? Or
Yeah,
is
I would look at
consciousness
it.
a messier, more fluid thing?
I look at it too as like you can't kill the physical and attack the consciousness through the physical, like in that sense. Like I would definitely separate the physical from the consciousness.
Mm.
But I mean, it is the spectrum. When you brought up the spectrum, yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting way to look at things.
Yeah.
I just don't know what we could ever assign to something that shows no signs of even movement. Or the lack of ability to act.
What about fire? Fire's dynamical. It's very active. It consumes and spreads itself. It's got a lot of features of a living thing.
It's got a source. We know its source. The source would be the fuel.
Yeah. I mean, same with you. You eat, you breathe. You've got fuel and oxygen. We're pretty similar
Yeah,
to fire in that way.
and my source would basically in my worldview, my source would be like what we're talking about now: conscious, spirit, soul.
Right?
That would
Do you
be
think
my
that
soul.
fire
Would be my
has
source.
any soul?
No, I already know its source. If its source is the oxygen in the whatever, like yeah, then I already know its source. Then how could it have, a soul?
I don't know, but same with you. If I cut you off of oxygen and fuel,
You don't know
you'd be
my source though.
extinguished as well.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying in
Yeah.
the physical. In the physical, you would cease to exist. Like the source of my physical, what is
Right.
it?
So then you're like,
Well,
okay, but
that'd
there's
be
a
like, what's the
metaphysical.
source of humanity, right? That's
Yeah.
the
Mm.
route we'd have to go. Like, what's the source of humans? Like, if we deleted all humans, would they just reignite? I'd be like, I don't think so.
Well, maybe life would. This is why I think that
Well, that's.
this.
I was just gonna say, well, that's a bit much. That's like,
Oh,
yeah, evolution. Everything will just randomly evolve again. I don't know.
not
I guess one
random
role.
necessarily.
Well,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, definitely also this, like, we haven't gotten into evolution, but your thoughts about that are also going to have a lot to do with what you think the nature of consciousness is, of course. Because if you think life evolved from non-living material, then that raises a lot of really interesting questions about what consciousness is. But I bring up the example of flame because it's like, physically speaking, crudely, there's a lot of similarities between a living thing and a flame. I mean, we eat, we breathe, we reproduce, so does the fire. You could extinguish the fire and you could extinguish physical life. Okay. But maybe consciousness has this metaphysical aspect. There's spirit, there's soul, there's something about you that persists after the destruction of the physical body. Okay. So then the question is there something metaphysical? Is there spirit and soul to a fire that persist after the death of the physical fire?
Like the eternal fire.
I'd say no, because I can locate the source of a fire, but I can't locate the source of humans, physically speaking, like empirically
I don't know
speaking.
what you mean by that. Like you were born, you need to breathe. I think we've located you in the physical world pretty clearly.
Yeah, me specifically, but we're not talking fire, right? We're talking fire. Like fire. How does a fire begin? Well, how do humans begin? We can
Yeah,
Wait
we
but
a
can
minute.
like,
like get we
We
can
can
get to
identify you as an
the
individual
root
human, and we
cause.
can identify a flame as an individual flame, right?
Well, any flame that breaks out, we can get to the origins of why it broke out, right?
Yeah, and any
And
human
the
that
only thing you
exists,
could
we
do
can
with
get to their
humans,
origins too. Yeah.
yeah, all you could do with humans is push it back.
I don't
like
really see a
what?
big difference. Yeah.
I think Z was
Whereas
talking
like
about the eternal concept of fire, right? The ability to even for things to even go up in a flame, right?
Yeah, I mean that's and that, is that the soul of fire? you know, uh,
Spiritual
it's like the origins
representation.
of the human. I'm looking at the origins of a human versus the origins of the flame. I can pinpoint one, not the other.
Yeah,
I
what's
see.
what's
I
the origin of like the ability for there to even
Yeah,
be a
to
flame.
be a flame. All right, then you're pushing it back to
Yeah, because you can identify what created an individual fire. You can identify who gave birth to an individual human, and then you're like, okay, but what was the source of humanity? I'm like, yeah, a good question, but also, what is the source of burning? Like, what is the source of flame as a concept, as a process? What was the precondition that made it possible for flame to exist in the first place in
the
physical
creation.
reality?
The
Okay, so then,
creation. That's where I'm
yeah,
gonna end
right.
up.
So then,
The creation.
humans and flame both go back to creation. The possibility of the existence of humans and the possibility of the existence of flame both go back to creation. All of which is to just bring me back to the question of, how are you sure that the fire doesn't have a spirit?
Simple. It doesn't show any of the characteristics of consciousness.
It spreads. It finds more fuel.
Okay. It consumes. It
It
doesn't mean it's
consumes.
conscious. Is it self-aware? I have zero evidence to believe it's self-aware, or it can perceive its environment. Because here's
Well,
the
it can't.
thing: if it
It
was
can't talk to
self-aware,
us.
what it would do, it wouldn't reach out and try to destroy. It would have like an awareness of, I'm going to be extinguished if I continue doing this, and it would control itself, but it has no control. It just consumes. That's
I think
all it
that
can do.
actually
It can go
applies
in
to a
one
lot of
direction,
people, though. I
but
mean,
it can
that
only go
also
in
might
one
apply to
direction.
humanity.
Right, but it can only go in one direction. If there's fuel to consume, it will consume. It's not
Mm.
like that for humans. We have like control,
I don't
awareness.
know about that. I'm not so sure. I mean, like
Can you stop
humanity,
eating?
I think. Um, can we stop?
Yeah, like that's what I'm trying to say. If you like, here's what I'm trying to say, right? If I create a fire and I just constantly, for like the next 4 hours, I pour alcohol or gasoline on that fire, it's going to consume that gasoline, right?
Sure.
But if I sit you down at a table and flood you for the next hour with food, are you going to continue consuming? The answer is no.
I think the problem
We have
there
that
is,
awareness.
okay. So if I've got a fire going and I've got gasoline nearby, not every spark from the fire will hit the gasoline and ignite it. And you're going to say, "Oh, that's just
Sure.
random, whatever." Okay, who knows? But not every little bit of flame that leaps out from the fire will be the one that consumes the gasoline. But inevitably, something will spread to the gasoline and ignite it. It's only a matter of
Well,
time.
it's
Maybe an
conditional.
individual,
If the
maybe an
conditions are right,
individual
it
human.
will do it.
Look, maybe an individual human can take a hunger fast or something like that. But can humanity stop eating? I mean, this is I don't think that there's evidence necessarily that humans as a collective do have collective restraint. Maybe individuals have, like, you could say that we are like the fire, that like humans spread and consume and destroy ourselves, unfortunately. Like, think of the number of nations and empires in history that if they had just stopped spreading, they could have stabilized, but they couldn't. They couldn't help themselves. They couldn't stop. They spread themselves to the point of exhaustion
That's
and
reification.
collapse.
You're treating the whole as one. You're treating the whole as one. We have a single fire, and you're treating all of humanity as one. And I was just making the case that a fire will consume if it can consume. If you allow it to
Well, I'm
consume,
saying, I'm
you fill
saying,
it with
sure, like,
fuel, it will continue to consume that fuel to burn. Whereas a human, if you look at it as like, well, a human feeds itself, takes in fuel, a human can also choose to stop taking in fuel because it's aware that it doesn't need more fuel. Whereas a fire can't, so it has no real awareness. And
hmm,
if it was
I,
aware, it would choose to not continue to consume so it wouldn't be attacked or extinguished. It has no preservation of life.
I mean, again, a lot of humans, a lot of society don't have preservation of life at all.
They might not be conscious.
I
I
mean,
think a lot of people are spiritually weak. Yes, I think
um,
that's a real thing.
I don't think that we're
That's why
equivalent to fire. Like fire does not have eyes or nervous system or brain or memory. I obviously do not believe that a fire has most of the aspects of our consciousness. I can, I'm pretty confident in that. I'm pretty confident if we made a list of things that are important features of our human consciousness, a flame does not have most of that list.
right.
But
That's why I'm
we were
saying there's no real
we were
evidence for
talking
it.
about the concept of spirit though, the concept of something that is more transcendent, that is more metaphysical.
Well, they're all attached. The spirit, the soul, the consciousness. Like you can't have one without the other. That doesn't work. Not in my worldview. You can't just
Okay,
say the
but
soul's floating around. I didn't explain them as like three different pots. I explained them as like three connected. I guess you could say they're different, but they're all connected. Like you can't have one without the other type thing.
again, with like the dementia patient, with the baby, you know,
Yeah, the
I
baby
think
is like the development phase.
I think different objects or things might have different representations on different levels of awareness. So like if your eyes are open right now, you're looking at the physical world and you're aware of the physical world. So you see the physical fire. You close your eyes, you go into the mental area of awareness, right? And you can, think about the concept of fire. And then the spiritual plane of awareness, that's going to have a different representation of the fire as well.
I do think I'm gonna get going to bed, but it's been a lot of fun. Enjoy the very heady philosophical stuff. Hope
Yeah,
to
man,
pick it
good
up
time.
again sometime. Yeah,
Minus
peace.
the
Yep.
interruptions.
Oh, that guy.
The spirit of fire.
Well,
Interesting
that's the
concept.
thing that I don't know which group practices this or if it's like an ancient civilization, I forgot, but they believe they can like interact with those, like they call them elementals or elemental energy, fire, air, whatever. But I
Like
don't know. I heard it's
Akashic.
dangerous. Yeah, but people can like be, I don't know, it does something to people's state of mind. Like they'll get consumed by that energy.
I mean, potentially, maybe there's something, but I can't say yes, there is, there must be, or anything like that. Maybe be like, well, maybe you could make that leap in a specific context.
Well, I mean,
What?
people. What do you think about like people making deals with like maybe a demonic entity or something? Think that
Uh,
that could happen?
no, I'd ask, what do they consume with? Is it the obsession? The obsession of
Ye-
it? Or is it
Yeah, like I
a
think for like
physical
yeah,
or like a spiritual connection? Or is it just all internal where they obsess over something, then therefore they believe?
yeah, I don't know the like behaviors that that you see for each different spirit or whatever, but I think fire, yeah, it would be like they're overcome with like obsession with something or like like a passion that's like beyond like normal passions, like toxic passion or whatever, something. But I haven't messed around with that stuff, so I don't know. But I think the demonic possession or demonic deals with the devil. I feel like that's real.
Oh, I see the angle you're taking. And that would, like, through that would be the gateway to, like, worship the fire.
Yeah, it like wraps up with their identity. Like they do it in like I think it's like a meditative state or maybe like a ritual state. So they're like meditating on fire itself, like not a flame, but like the concept of fire, experiencing the fire, getting more spiritual with it. And it like intertwines with their identity, whatever energy that is. And yeah, it's like a mental thing.
What about the obsession with the atom?
The atom. And then we got Adam and that Adam and Eve.
Worshipping the atom instead of
Adam. Well, we don't worship Adam, but
well, the creator, right?
yeah, there's some Egyptian connections too with Atom. I don't know. There's definitely some layers. Do you have some sauce on that?
No.
No.
Sauce for what?
I don't know.
The
Like,
worshipping
I
of
don't know
the
if you
atom?
get. Yeah, like the Adam worship.
Not really. I was kind of poking fun, mostly.
Hmm.
At you know what I mean? At the atom and then the subatomic and then like a different metaphysic, something like metaphysical, but just completely different, like a replacement.
Well, yeah, I mean, like some people don't even believe in any metaphysical realities.
Well, if you believe in subatomic, you do.
Subatomic. Yeah.
Yep. It's invisible. All right. Well,
Oh.
it's undetectable. All right. Well, can't see it, but it does something. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
You just create a religion.
Yep. The high priest. Scientism.
Because all the invisible must make up the visible.
Mm.
It's like, well, if that's the case, then metaphysics
All right.
creates physics.
It precedes. Yep. The metaphysical precedes the physical. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, what's the difference? It's just fucking one religion for another.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, that's my whole thing when I talk to like super materialists or naturalists. They're not even um well, they can't escape it. No matter what, they're gonna be describing an all powerful, immaterial, orderly source for all existence and intelligibility. Right? All they can do is relabel it. They can relabel it the universe, laws of nature, chaos, right? But they're just describing the same function, the godlike or the god role.
yeah. I mean, unless they stop short and they're like, look, no, they don't make the claims to the invisible, then
Well,
I'll be like, all right, yeah, that's fine. You know, whatever.
well, that's the trap because, well, if they want to abandon causality, they don't want to offer a cause, naturally explainable cause. One, they're admitting the origin, the source of all existence is a supernatural.
Agnostic.
Well, they're
Well,
admitting
they
it's
could just,
supernatural.
they don't have to admit, they could just be agnostic about it and say, don't know.
Well, they don't know. So if they don't know, they can't explain it
Right.
with the
Yeah, but
laws of
that's what I mean.
nature.
I don't think it has to be explained. I think with the attempt to explain it is what turns it into a religion. But if you just say, I'm only going to make claims about what I experience, I'll be like, that's fine. That, like, for me personally, it doesn't bother me. If someone's agnostic, it's like, you can be agnostic, whatever. But if you go the complete other way, it's like, all right, well, now you're just going overboard with it. Now you're making claims.
I disagree. I feel like you can come to the conclusion of an ultimate creator or source just by a priori reasoning, like a priori evidence. You could ignore it. You could definitely ignore it and just say you don't know.
Yeah, but to a materialist, they'll just reject that and be like, only
Empiricist.
yeah, empiricism. Well, materialist is very close. It's basically the same thing. I mean, it's a little bit different, not really. It's like
Well,
there's
the
no empirical
natural.
evidence, therefore I'll say I don't know. It's like, all right, if
Well,
that's where you want to cut it off.
the naturalists get trapped because part of naturalism says there necessarily must be a naturally explainable cause for all observable phenomena. So if we have the phenomenon of matter, that needs a naturally explainable cause. If you don't know, okay, you're admitting it's supernatural at this point in time, right? And that's cool. But yeah, if you're sticking with naturalism, natural science, it says there must be a naturally explainable cause.
Are you saying like the Earth worshippers?
I
Those
mean,
that
it's like
worship nature?
mainstream. It's like the mainstream philosophy, naturalism, materialism. So every observable phenomenon has a naturally explainable cause, and fundamentally, everything is made up of material or matter. So, yeah, the mainstream naturalist, materialist, they're trapped. Either abandon naturalism and cause and effect, right? Don't offer a cause, just brute fact, random chance. Or, I mean, if you actually walk down the logic, it's pretty clear that the immaterial or the metaphysical precedes the material and the physical.
Oh, shit. I was muted. I was gonna say the naturalists, I would think they could just say whatever you see is real. And in that sense, they'd have a lot of overlap with the materialists. You say whatever you can't see isn't real, and then just say, I don't know for a lot of things. If they go the
Well,
extra mile and they say, well, it's this, and then they break it down to the subatomic, unobservable stuff, then yeah, they're just definitely, they took it way too far. It's like, well, you just created a metaphysical universe, and that goes completely outside the belief.
yeah, and then just slap the physical label on it. Said, no, this is physical.
Yeah, this is the cause of the physical. It's like, well, slow down.
Yeah, because they're trapped with that mindset. There has to be a naturally explainable cause. Like there must be. It might not be discovered yet, but there must be one. So they're forced to keep
Yeah, that's the
walking it
problem.
down. Well, because they
That's the
don't want to
problem.
answer. Like if you ask them what's the cause of the universe, they'll do the dodge where they say, "Oh, well, the universe isn't one phenomenon; it's the collection of all phenomena." So, they don't want to answer that. But if you
Yeah,
ask them what's the cause of matter, then they have to really get into it, and you know, it turns out that stable immaterial order is necessary for matter to even arranged or be arranged into matter in the first place, right? You can't have matter arrange itself and then create stable order, potential arrangements and stuff like that. Doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, you need something. You need something to organize the matter.
Or I think mainstream calls it necessary initial conditions.
Yeah, once you make claims on what causes it, it's over. Yeah, I think materialism, naturally, whatever, is very limited in what it explains or can explain. So besides Christianity, what do you think is one of the better ones? Well, besides religion in general.
Mm.
Well, no, I can't say religion in general. Besides any of the main you know what I mean by religion. Just let me throw that out there. Like
Yeah.
I mean like religion in the sense of like Abrahamic and Eastern, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I really start like kind of like top down, like get to an ultimate creator basis. And I guess the fact you can have a direct connection or personal connection to that creator, I think those are like necessary to having a good belief system.
That's interesting. You went right to creator. I've tried a few times to conceptualize the idea of no creator, and it's just I
Uh-huh.
can't do it, bro. Like I try and I try and try and think of something that could work without, and it's everything. Like everything leads me right back to well, it had to be created.
Yeah, I mean, like if you ever built anything, you know, like things don't just randomly fall into place, especially complex systems and complex concepts don't just, randomly uh, fall into place perfectly like that. It's crazy.
Well, that's why I have so much problem with like, oh, it's just it's random. It's like, well, if everything was created just based on randomness, like, wouldn't everything just be more random?
Yeah.
Like, how did we get away from all? How did all the random go from random to cyclical or patterns, and how did all patterns emerge from the pure randomness?
Right. Because I could see how things might appear random or complicated. We don't have all the answer to certain things, but you can't go from chaos, no order, to perfectly complex, fine-tuned order. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, to the point where everything's dependent on each other.
Right.
Because, yeah, that's way too much for me.
I was talking to Renee today. He was saying we're doing like a little back and forth, kind of what we were just talking about. But he was saying, well, he didn't like that I said it's just random chance, brute fact in his paradigm, right? Like he said order was just a brute fact.
Oh,
I was like,
what?
okay, what's the random chance of that brute fact? And then he objected to that. He didn't like that I called it random, right? So it was like, is the origin of existence, is it random or not random? And then he would say it's not random.
Oh,
So I was like, well, if it's not random to me, if we start looking at synonyms for not random, we got intentional, thought out, created, designed, right? But he was objecting to it.
how could it not be random if it's
Well, he wouldn't give me because he didn't like the synonyms that I was providing. He wouldn't provide like an alternative word for not random, right? Because any word you choose for not random is gonna sound close to, thought out, intentional, designed.
well, yeah, because if you remove randomness, you have direction. With direction comes intent.
hmm And then if you get intent, you can't have intent without a mind,
You got to sign it to an agent.
right? So,
Yeah, it's a tough one.
but yeah, they're kind of stuck though, because of that. Well, the naturalist worldview, they have to give a naturally explainable cause to every phenomenon. So if they don't want to do that, they're abandoning naturalism. And when they do engage with the argument, it shows that the material comes after the immaterial. But yeah, it's like one of my favorite topics right now.
I like I like playing around with Cole's gay simulation theory idea.
Wait, what?
Oh, he's probably sleeping. I was trying to instigate.
The gay simulation theory?
No, like simulation theory. I just like
Oh, okay,
calling it
okay.
gay because he thinks it's could be real.
Oh, I thought Cole had like a specific like gay
No,
zonal
no.
simulation thing.
That's how I word it to get him to respond. But he's not here. That or like the other one where it's like biological.
Mm,
It's everything is like a cell inside of
mm,
you know something
yeah,
that's living, and we're like the equivalent of a cell in our body.
right. Like a
And
fractal.
yeah, and that would kind of align with that other dude's idea of consciousness, what it would mean, like to everything to have consciousness, like down to the cellular level.
Mm,
It's like ideas like that kind of work with it. And what's the other one? And like the repeating, the cycle one. Like like you're repeating life
mm. Oh yeah,
willingly.
yeah, yeah.
Like like you come well, basically reincarnation, right? Or like an
Yeah.
aspect of where like you return to the source, you come back for more. Return to
Mm,
the source, come back for more. And through that you build your, you know, you build your awareness or understanding of what this place is.
yeah. I like
Like
that
so
one.
yeah, like those three are probably my favorite outside. Well, I don't know.
I heard
The,
there's this one like reincarnation one. Like reincarnate into a new body. It's like as soon as you die, you're just restored to life. But like kind of I guess in a
death
different
to
time
birth.
period.
Yeah, like something's born when you die. Whoa. Yeah, like that.
Something like that. Well, I mean, you die here, but okay. until you learn whatever you're supposed to learn here, you keep dying and getting restored to life
Yeah.
without being aware of it until you learn your lesson and then you know elevate.
Yeah, I think Geo talks about that one.
Yeah, I like Geos.
Yeah, Geo's isn't bad. I like it too. It's interesting.
It's I mean there's parallels between Geos and Christianity. So
Yeah.
like the one and the many problem.
So, so you guys think that if it sounds good, it must be true, right?
What a straw man. What an absolute straw man. Come on, bro.
That was good. That was
Dude,
good.
that was brutal. That was brutal. Oh.
So what's your preferred belief system or some of your favorite belief systems? Good vibes.
But it can't be a religion. Can't be a religion. Can't be Christianity or any of the main ones.
Shamanism.
That's a good one. That's like
What's the
Geo.
shaman one? What's the shamanism?
Like humans are able to learn how to communicate through this using the spirit world as a conduit, and the spirit world is like fire. It's the intermediary between us and them. Like if you wanted to communicate and maybe heal it, if you wanted to heal a dog, for example, you have to get the dog while it's sleeping to heal it, right? Because that's the only time you can communicate long distance with an animal, right? It's that has to be in the state of dreaming, and to contact a dog while it's dreaming, you need to have an intermediary, right? Something that can be neither here nor there in the middle. That's the spirit world. The only way you can communicate with the spirit world and have any benefit is to practice shamanism.
All right, what other ones do you like?
There are no other ones. That is
Bro,
exactly how it is. Like you ask all the Aborigine tribes in the entire world, they're going to tell you the same thing.
no, I'm not saying what is. It's not what you believe. It's like which ones are interesting.
Whatever Kurt Cobain's wife did the other day.
What? What did she do?
Oh, you didn't hear? Like her adrenochrome like episodes and like cannibalizing of babies.
I mean, I didn't know she came. What did she like make a statement about that or something?
I think somehow, some way or another, I heard that she admitted it, that she was like a
That's like Hillary
cannibalizing
Clinton.
babies.
Hillary.
Yeah,
She had that Cthulhu disease.
right. It's
No,
like
my
I heard that I don't know what's her name, Kurt Cobain's ex-wife. She's a singer too, right? Like she was like on like the edge of whatever, like dying, and then she got a top up of whatever it was, that adrenochrome stuff, and
mm,
that's how she admitted it. It's like I need it, like, and then like somehow in public it came out. Like so there is something to this life and how we can claim immortality, but it comes with a cost, right? Comes with a giant cost.
mm.
Do you think there's like this magical juice somewhere? Like I heard there is some special water like in the North Pole. If you go there and you find it, you can drink it and live forever.
See, that's the problem with shamanism. Y'all are always trying to find some herb, some fountain, some water. The inner peace is within you, brother.
I'm not a shaman's ass, like, but a real shaman like can make it rain. A real shaman can create a hurricane. That's the power of shamanism. But a real shaman is there only for good purposes, right? So if you're going to make it rain, it's because you're going to be helping some people out. You know, they might need water. You know, or you might just need to put some water back in the rivers. You know.
Oh, well, when you were describing it, you weren't really talking too much about like, I guess, like drugs or ayahuasca. Is that like a misconception? That's not really required.
Yeah. No, you don't need any drugs or ayahuasca to be a shaman. Like that's a totally separate practice. It is part of some shamanistic practices, you know, to have these I don't know what you want to call them, juices or whatever. But shamanism, you can just do it with some rocks. All you need is rocks. Actually, you just need to close your eyes and you can do it. You just need to know how to do it. It's something you need to learn.
Mm.
I don't know if those the ones that do like voodoo, I wouldn't call them shamans. I would call them maybe witch doctors. That's probably like a better way to call them. Like the ones that use voodoo dolls. People get them confused because they see them on the cartoons, you know. But like, if you remember Asterix and Obelix, that shaman on there, that was a soothsayer, right? Like, I don't know, what's that, like an alchemist? Or is that like that dude that used to hang out in the cave and like give the king lots of good advice? But a true shaman is able to manipulate the weather and change the dreams of animals and heal people long distantly.
Mhm. Have you ever like what? Oh, you said you're not. Are you into shamanism? Yeah, you said you're into shamanism. So that's the
No,
only way.
I've had influence from shamans, and but I'm not a shaman's ass. But I've had experience with shamans, and I know what they do is it's only for the good, and it's something that you can experience, especially in Hawaii. If you go to Hawaii, there's a lot of old shamans over there. You just need to track them down. They don't advertise themselves, right? You gotta know someone that knows someone. Like Geo, probably he'd probably know a couple of shamans. I reckon, maybe. Am I
That
saying it
makes
right?
sense.
Like you guys probably say shaman.
No, we say shaman.
Oh, okay.
And
Have you
so you're
never
just doing
met
your own thing.
a spiritual? Have you never met like a spiritual like healer, like one of those dudes that do the uh the potions
Yeah,
like the ayahuasca and stuff? Have you ever
yeah,
bumped into one of
yeah. I
them
met
dudes?
one. I met one.
How
I
did
mean, he
you
was kind of
feel being
cool, but he's
around
kind
him?
of weird.
Yeah, was it good? Good experience?
I mean, I didn't do any of the things. Like, I don't know. I met this guy at the gym, and he's like showing everybody like these retreats that he does. I guess like on Indian territory because it's legal, and they do the bufo frog poison or whatever, and they do like maybe some ayahuasca mushrooms. But yeah, he was like, I guess he was a shaman or maybe a witch doctor. I don't know.
Have you ever been around a qigong master?
Qigong. Oh, I think I've actually practiced Qigong. Is that where you like stand in a certain position? And
Ah, Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you ever get the opportunity to like go and get some qigong like done on you for healing or whatever, like you'll know that they've got something special about them. You just feel it around them, like they're radiating with this like a super powerful energy force. You can feel it. It's like this really intense vibration, and like they can move stuff like with their chi, right? They can manipulate chi. Yeah, you
Yeah, I've
can
actually I
literally
did
can
a I
feel it.
did a qigong meditation. Well, they say you could do it yourself. You stand in a certain position, kind of with your knees like a little buckled or whatever, and you just hold that position for like 30 minutes and you kind of do some little hand movements. But yeah, you can feel like your energy, you can kind of get familiar with it.
Did you say with your knees kind of buckled?
Yes, I don't know how to describe. I don't know how to describe. It's like a standing horse, like literally just stand up straight and then just buckle your knees a little bit and still stand up straight. It's weird.
Oh, got a phone call.
But I don't know. I did it and I was doing it. I was doing the hand movements. It was pretty cool.
You guys, what were you guys talking about before I just got this phone call? You talking about fire, and I heard you guys talking about like, oh, someone was arguing all day. Was that Pure Rigor, and who was arguing all day? Yo, yo. Did I lose everyone? Lost the plot. What's that? Q-Op sock account.
Sorry, I had food in my mouth.
Oh yeah, the sock in your mouth.
No, I was watching a video of these college basketball players, the female ones. I was like, oh my, got a kick out of it.
Yeah, bring me back about 30 years or more. Wouldn't it be good to like reverse aging?
Oh, dude, if I go back to 18, that wouldn't even be fair though. Wouldn't be fair, dude. You went back as 18 years old with what you know now.
Oh man, you just know all the tricks, right?
I think a lot of things would end up being boring. Like you might
You'd
actually
know
get
not
bored.
to. You know not to waste so much of your seed, right? You'd go back and go, nah, fuck, I'm saving all that, saving the whole lot.
Well, I think a lot of the petty shit that goes down, or like the shallow events, would just end up being boring.
That's kind of how it already is. Like when you get older, it's like some things just become like not necessary to be like interested in anymore. Like how often do 50-year-olds go out to nightclubs, right? But if you could turn back time, like what would the one thing you'd do differently? There's just the one thing that you'd do differently.
I don't know. More traveling,
Would you
I'd
look
say.
would
Definitely
you
more
look after your
traveling.
health more? Traveling's a good thing, for sure.
Maybe never pick up smoking.
Yeah, true.
That'd probably be one. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, because that's a hard one to undo, you know. All the damage caused by smoking. I know I did it for
Well, it's
30
just
years.
enjoyable. It's one of the
Hell
things
yeah.
I enjoy so much. I don't want to quit.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
problem. It's like, is it addiction or just something I enjoy too much? Like, well,
Well,
probably
you
both.
enjoy it. You enjoy it because you're addicted to it, man.
Right, but
Right?
I've never even like even when I think about even when I think about quitting, I'm like, oh, I should quit only because it's like bad for your health.
You know
It's like
how
because I
you
know
can
it's
quit
bad for my health,
smoking?
but it's like I don't want to quit because of I don't like doing it. You know?
I know how you can quit smoking. What you do is you go for a run up a mountain for an hour, and you probably quit smoking for 3 days for sure.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah, when I was in Colorado and I was smoking cigarettes, bro. Oh no, bro, it was a bad idea. Nope. Just the elevation is already too detrimental.
You just
I don't
realize
know.
how unfit you are. Yeah.
I've ran 5Ks and then afterward, like before the 5K, I'll smoke, and then afterwards, I'll smoke.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh man.
dude, I played
Some
sports
people
growing
wake
up
up.
smoking.
Some people that are really heavily addicted to smoking, they wake up in the middle of their sleep, like, you know, halfway in the night and get up and have a quick cigarette and go back to bed.
Oh, that's a bit much. But yeah, if I ever did, like, say I wanted to run a mile and I'm like, I'm in the mood to run a mile, and I tried to run it and I couldn't, and it was all due to my lungs, yeah, I'd probably cut down quite a bit, if not outright quit.
What do you think about just transitioning over to vaping just for a while instead and see how
No,
it goes?
nope. Everybody I talk to that's vape for a long time always talks about shortness of breath.
Well, just okay, so the whole vaping thing, guys. Yeah, the vegetable oil when it's heated, it turns to plastic. So it creates a plastic lining in on your lungs. That's extremely difficult to pass and process. So you really don't want that. It could permanently fuck up your hormone production just because you're constantly processing those plastics. They confuse. I forgot what the term was, but the way plastic processes, it fucks up your hormone signals. So not good. Now, cigarette smoke, you can cough that shit up and then you just have brand new lungs. But plastic, not so much.
Would that be the VG or the PG? Because I thought the propylene glycol, that stuff's like
Uh,
made of car tires. Like that's why you can see the vape when you're vaping. And then
yeah.
the vegetable glycerine, that's like supposed to be the stuff that's like not as dangerous for your lungs because
Well, unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, dude, what was your old name? It wasn't Good Vibes. It was Carlos, right? Carlos?
I've always
Yes.
had that name. I was born with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Carlos. Um, yeah, man. Unfortunately, you're not safe anywhere that you look. So, like, all of these oils are bottom of the barrel. It's kind of like the olive oil industry, where like 90% of all the olive oil is fake or seed oil or some, it's the whole business is a scam,
So,
So
you know,
it's the same kind of thing.
Is there another way to, like, you know how essential oils, sometimes people use them in like those spa sauna places, and you can breathe that stuff in, and you do like Vicks inhaling and stuff. Like, is there a way that you could do healthy vaping? Like, you could make a healthy vape?
Mm,
Because
I
I
think
think
that
if we could
I
come
think
up with a
the
healthy vape, would
healthiest.
be rich.
Sorry.
I was just saying we'd be rich. Like, if we could come up with a healthy vape, one that dissolves all the tar in your lungs. Every breath you take, it's dissolving all the tar in your lungs, and you just cough it up.
I think the healthiest way to go about it would be, um, it would probably be like those packs. I know this sounds horrible, but like like people who use dip and stuff like that. That's probably the safest way to do it. To be honest with you.
You got me. You got me there. I don't know what was this stuff. What is
Oh,
it?
you don't? Okay, yeah. So dip is just it's flavored tobacco where people just stuff it under their gum, and then so it's you know it's like this mixture you stuff under your gum, and then you absorb the nicotine through your skin. And then there's this other
Yeah.
one that's it's the same kind of thing. It's like a pack, so it's almost like a tea bag with tobacco in it, and you just leave it in your jaw, right? Um, the problem with that is it's extremely like habit forming and addictive. So what happens is people end up just leaving it in there way too long, and it ends up ruining their face. They get cancer and they die. But if you just do it regularly, like in moderation, you're fine. You're totally fine. It's to say it's better for your lungs. You're getting direct nicotine through the skin. You're not swallowing anything. It's like the best way to go, probably.
How do we get a link to your channel?
My channel? What do you mean? I
Your
don't
server.
have a channel.
Oh, you don't have a server.
Oh, I have a server, but I don't. I thought you meant like, am I a content creator? But yeah, I mean, I run a server.
Sometimes you do VC, right?
Yeah, no, I have a server similar to well, similar to this one, I guess.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm not really trying to promote my server, but if you want to join it, you can. So.
Yeah, like sometimes if it's like if there's a bunch of if the occasion like warrants it, then yeah, why not click around? But like I haven't seen an invite. I heard that QOP gets kicked out of your server every day.
Well, he would have to be in my server first. Yeah, so but yeah, if you just click my name and you click the if you click the wide tag, it should have an invite there. So I don't need to send you anything.
Oh, that's what that's for.
Yeah, that's why I have that. You can just click on it and it just makes it easier.
Right. 153 online, it says.
Maybe. I don't know.
Wop sent me a invite to a server today. I joined it. It's completely fucking barren.
Yeah, I got a
given up.
Blob. Dude, Blob and Wish came over and started calling people the N-word and just getting all rowdy and stuff. So I muted them, and then they send me the fucking QOP invite. I'm like, dude, I'm just so tired of them trolling me, man. It's like gay.
Well, they got muted here. It would just cause
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah,
Railing
dude, it's just going
everything,
off,
dude.
man. Totally insensitive. Totally fucking. Well, that's the thing, man. They send me the invite after. I'm like, oh, okay, so what? They're just going around trolling 4Q up now. What? They're like foot soldiers or something? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that
It is odd.
organized, but it just was
No,
odd.
it's probably just encouraged. Like their version of fun.
Yeah,
Like one
for
person
sure.
encourages it, promotes the idea, then encourages the behavior. They go do it. They get a good kick out of it,
Yeah.
and then maybe next time they do it again. Bob
Well,
usually just like messes around for a little bit and then goes back to normal.
yeah. Well, it earned him both a ban this time.
Oh, he's
Yep.
oh.
Dude, I've been holding off. I haven't banned Blob the whole year, and he just kind of earned it this time. So I don't know.
How long you hit him
So,
with?
what do you think? What do you guys think about the flat Earth? Since since I sort of came into this understanding 2014, I don't think anything has changed. Do you guys think that you've learned anything that props up the idea and secures it for you that we could be living on a planar style Earth that's not spinning in space?
You want this
Have
one?
you learned anything at all, or is it just the same as 2014? Sort of like 200 proofs, and the horizon rises to your eye level, and like boats don't actually go over the curve. Like, what else is there? Has there been any revelations at all, or is it just kind of like finger pointing? Like when we see Artemis and we go, "Oh, see, I told you, it's just fake." But where is the big revelation, the big unveiling, the fucking checkered flag?
You want this one, Rigor?
Dude, I haven't. I wasn't a. I didn't, dude, this whole
Where are
topic
you?
in 2014, non-existent for me.
Yeah, I was like the first guy vaping in my country, and I was probably one of the first in my country to listen to higher side chats and hear Eric Dubé's voice coming down the line saying that we were not on a ball. It's been a long time, right? That's quite a few years, and like I've seen all the drama, I've seen it all, but still I haven't heard anything new since 2014. Nothing at all. The only thing that's different is there's another option. It's a dual pole map. Like, that's all. Have you
Well,
guys experienced
my
the same as
my
me,
idea
or what?
my idea of flat Earth has been the same since about 2018. My almost there was one opinion that changed because I read something wrong. That's it. And it had to do with high altitude aviation. But other than that, it's all like all the concepts in my head, it's all pretty much the same.